Hey, everybody. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all see me? Hey, Jason.
Hey,
What's up, brother?
am I in?
I think you're in.
All right, let me test my screen sharing capability real quick. See
Sounds
if,
good.
see if this works this time. Can you see that?
I can.
Is that
Jesus.
a Millennium Falcon?
It's the TIE Fighter.
Okay. All
Yeah, that's badass. All right.
right, we're
All
good.
right. Man, Jason, it's really, really good to have you on this evening, man. You as my co-host. It's exciting. Let's
Happy to be here.
you know, it's really
Yeah.
cool to have you. Let's start saying hello to everybody. Mr. Matt, hello. Mr. Fly, Sean Solo, Benjamin, Matt's Collection. Hey, Armando. Jose, Scott. What's up, Scott? Hey, we got Joseph online.
Someone named Joseph.
Yeah, he's
Do
a
we know
stalker.
him? Yeah.
He's a stalking guy.
Yeah.
Janine, hey, Janine. Russell, welcome everybody. Good to see everybody. Man, there's a lot of stuff going on this week in Star Wars land, huh?
Yeah. Always, right? I mean, like, I've had this conversation with friends 100 million times. Like, Star Wars is going to die at some point again. Like, it's all over again. And no, it's never going to die. And we're all trapped. And we're never.
Yeah, it's
Like,
continuing to just
all
leak
right,
out of my bank account.
just going to ride this train straight to hell, apparently. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Caesar, welcome, man. So, how things going, Jason? How you been, brother?
Busy, good. We're going back to the office 3 days a week has like made my life so weird. Like I know I crave routine and structure, like just mentally, but like adapting to that, I'm just like, what the fuck? Like I'm over the past 2 years. And sorry, swearing. I don't know if there's any children watching, but
Yeah, we're gonna have to start all over again.
yeah, sorry about your luck, kids. You got me tonight.
Yeah, I think that 99% of the world actually doesn't want to go back to work now.
It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. I mean, it's
the
golly
real-
gosh bullcrap.
You know what's the craziest thing is it's like there's through all these tough times, it seems like everybody is busy as hell, like more busier than they were even before the pandemic.
It's funny. I noticed, man, I've lost friends. People have died. I'm not trying to make light of it, but
For sure.
driving in 2020 was pretty rad. Like going down Route 95 and there was no one on the road and going 80 miles an hour at any time of day. I was like, all right, I can handle this. And there's like just no one. And now everyone's going like 45 to 80, depending on their and like people are cutting everybody off and spraying their mouth silver and screaming, "Witness me!" Like it's real Mad Max, like way worse than it used to be. We actually a week ago yesterday we got rear-ended. My wife was driving. She comes up to a light and it's turning yellow. So I probably would have just kept going and it would have been sort of a light red.
Well, in California, yellow means go.
Right.
Okay.
It really does in Maryland. Maryland is sort of like the redheaded stepchild of Jersey and New York and Massachusetts, where everybody's just like kill or be killed on the road just because of the traffic and congestion. But anyway, so she started slowing down. And by the time we got to a stop, we got rear-ended. It was the guy, it was his 25th birthday. He's driving a 2012 Subaru WRX. He had just gotten it back from the shop from painting the front end again, which tells me this isn't the first time he's smacked into somebody. So I was like, it's a minor fender bender. Nobody's hurt, but it's just like one of those things where I'm like, we're going on vacation in 2 weeks. We were going to take that car, a week and a half. We were going to take that car. Now we have to take the older car. And I'm just like, I hate the world, man. It was so much easier when I never left the house.
I understand.
Models,
Yeah, it's crazy though through your work in progress and that you do in your full-time job and the shit you get done on the side when it comes to the model making. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How do you do it, dude? That's what I want to know.
It's a combination of honing my skill set to the point where like I just get shit done because I know how to do it. Whereas before I might have to like it's interesting. There's a lot of history of makers and model makers and RPFers like declaring they're going to make this project and then being completely paralyzed because they can't make it perfectly. And
Right.
I've just been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
And I have to say I'm a bit disingenuous when I say this, only because I know the guys that made the originals, and they're like, who gives a shit if it's not perfect? It wasn't perfect when we made it.
That's right.
And that gives you like a freedom. And so I just can like make the thing and go to bed. And like,
So how long did it take though till you got to that point though, Jason?
20 years.
Yeah.
About like literally like 15 years or so from where I was like the guy new to the scene buying a Captain Cardboard X-Wing thinking I was like hot shit because I put lights in it. You know, like that was, you know, I vividly remember not knowing anything about anything. I had a very strong bedrock of fine art like that I had come from. So like I knew materials, I knew how things interacted. But as far as like part IDs or like just the scene in general, I knew nothing. And I just got obsessed and just kept working at it. So it's a combination of that, my hands, the osteoarthritis just kicking my ass, and then being scared enough to learn 3D, which I might not have done had things not gone south. And that, I have to say, if you haven't learned 3D and like really good printing, like it really sort of saves you a lot of time, because that thing can work in the background and like make a lot of the sort of foundation forms that then you can glue a bunch of stuff onto. And I'll get into that with this Death Star tower. Like that's a perfect example of it. So that has sped things up. And then just that we don't have kids, and my wife has very solitary pursuits similar to mine, where we can both go off for 2 or 3 hours. Like we spent half of today, I spent half of today working on like building something, and she spent half of today doing her thing. And then we got together, and neither of us were like, you're not paying attention. You know how some people are like weird and codependent? We're not like that. Like we
That's
both
awesome. That's what makes you a good couple, bro.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate and
Yeah.
very lucky. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I remember the first time I actually met you in person for the first time. You were making that transformation. You had been doing it for a little bit, but you were really dipping into the 3D thing.
Yeah.
And I remember Mike telling me about the issues with your hands, and man, that's like a painter going blind. I mean, it's like
right. I have another surgery scheduled for November 11th, I think, and that'll put me out for like 2 to 6 weeks, depending. So yay! Like I'm such a bad patient. Lisa was like, "Are you going to be able to sit on the couch and like not use your goddamn hand for like at least the first 2 days?" And I was like, "No promises." You know, like I mean, I will, but like I just go nuts if I'm not creating. It's really messed up, but you know.
So, since we were just right now just talking about 3D a little bit,
yeah.
By the way, did you get to see the frigate video I put online?
I did.
Yeah. I hope I did it justice. You know, I'm not like you gurus.
Dude, that model, like, there's no one on Earth better to have gotten that thing into their house than you. Like, it's so funny when it rolled up to Wonderfest and Jim was like, "Yeah, it's almost done." I was like, "I know where this is going." Like, I knew. Like, I turned to Brian and I was like, "You think?" And he's just like, "Oh." And I was like, "Yeah, all right."
You know what's so funny though, Jason? I talked to you quite a bit, and before Wonderfest, through Wonderfest, after Wonderfest, during this frigate, and then me telling you about, hey, I think it's going to happen, and then, you know, yeah, I think it's going to happen, and anyway, it happened. And through that whole time, you never even told me that you had your hands in and took any credit whatsoever. And I know, and Jim, when he told me about, you know, you hooking him up with the cool shade, and I mean, it's just cool though, dude, because that shit's hard to come by, and everybody, when they do have that, it's like gold, and they don't want to get rid of it, you know. And it was cool that you donated that to him.
Yeah, I'm not even going to tell you how much cool shit I have because I don't want to get robbed. But I have enough.
That's cool.
But like, yeah, I mean, like if somebody comes to me, like Jim, you know, like he's building a 6-foot frigate. You know,
it's about 8 foot.
Or 8 foot. Okay, yeah. He's building a very, very large model. And he's like, "Hey, do you have any cool shade?" And I'm like, "For that? Hell yeah, I do." Like, I know you. We are, you know, buddies. like there's a shared history, I'll move heaven and earth to help somebody out with something like that, because people have helped me in the past similarly.
Comes around, goes around.
It's huge.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, and you don't see models like that all the time. And
No.
I talked to him briefly today. So
yeah, and I'm not like a religious man necessarily, but I do feel like karma is real or whatever. Like,
yeah,
or maybe it's just like the internal moral compass that prevents me from like starting my own church and being rich or whatever. But like, I just feel like if I can do a little good in the world, maybe a little good will come back to me. Like, I don't know, like whether it's, tangible or not, who cares?
Understand. I remember talking to by the way, it was really a big treat and an honor, and I thank Gabe so much. So by the way, everybody, if you didn't hear last week, Gabe is at Disney Con D23. Is that what they call it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, D20. Anyway,
I didn't even know about it until like maybe late last year, this year, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And I'm going to be shocked if Gabe's not up on the throne next to Mickey Mouse as much as he's involved with. Yeah, okay, yeah. Thank you, appreciate that, Armando. But anyways, as he was walking around, he ran into Kurt Kuhn.
Oh wow,
the guy that put together Modeler Magic and is
Kurt was there
for so many people when it comes to putting things and helping builders and people that want to get involved into the hobby and anyway, he was there. He ran into him, and it was wonderful. He FaceTimed me to see him and talk to him. I'm going to make a surprise visit with him in a couple of weeks. I'm going to fly to Phoenix and go see him. Yeah, he's just
very cool.
Man, I would love for him to make Wonderfest.
I'm kind of shocked he's never done it before because
like
it really
there's no way
would be his jam. And I hope you make next year because we're having we're hoping to put together a little ILM love for the 40th anniversary of Jedi. So it's going to be.
Did you say I hope you make it, or do you hope he makes it?
I hope both, but I hope you make it.
I will be there.
All right,
dude.
I'm going to Celebration instead.
Yeah, no. If Celebration is during the same week, Gabe can let me know how that's going because
is he going to England?
No, I'm just saying if it was here.
Oh, right.
Even if it's in San Antonio,
right?
I'm going to Wonderfest.
Even if it's,
I just wish they'd make it in Vegas or something cool. Change it up.
What, Celebration?
No, Wonderfest.
Wonderfest? No, I need to be able to drive to it. They should make it. They should put it in. I don't know. Like,
how about Florida?
Oh God, no. Higher, go higher. Put it in Massachusetts or something. Put it somewhere temperate.
Where it is, I have to fly to all these different airports just to get to it.
I know. Yeah. Anybody coming out of we drive. It takes like 10 hours. But anybody flying, I completely understand. Like the people who come out from LA are like, this was a $600 airplane trip, and this is some bullshit. And I'm like, yeah, I believe it, because you can't. Like, nobody flies directly to Louisville. I mean, I guess Southwest from Baltimore does.
Yeah.
But I'm driving, so yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that it's a little bit of a haul. But I would also imagine you would drive because you're going to fill up your van on the way back. Right?
I'll just rent the Ryder truck there.
Jeez. Yeah. I've known people that have gone there. They flew out and they canceled their return flight, rented a truck. And their giant Battlestar Galactica studio scale base star in it, for example, and drove back to Texas. Yeah, that was Clay.
I don't know.
Chronicles guy.
Oh, yeah. Is that the one that Sean Sides brought or no?
Sean Corsini.
Oh, okay.
And it was in a giant acrylic case, and he had a bicycle chain motor drive, so the thing slowly spun. Gorgeous. That thing was.
On the base star?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, badass.
This base star in a case that just slowly spun. And I was like, that is not going home with
Was it the one like the one that I have?
Yeah. Same set of parts.
Yeah. Damn.
Yep. You know how heavy that thing is. Like, that was a feat of engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have seen how I brought that back from Mike's place.
I can't imagine.
Oh, man. I was, not having windows in that box, knowing I got the Star Destroyer and 8 models, including yours.
Every bump and like.
Oh, dude.
I'm sure there was road construction for like 30 miles somewhere.
Sucks, man. I couldn't wait to get out of that damn place, man.
Yeah.
Going over that big bridge, dude. It was like, golly, man. I kept stopping and opening up.
Yeah. Yeah, driving. I drove solo to Wonderfest in 2012 with the Blade Runner blimp in the back of my Subaru Outback, and all of West Virginia had decided to resurface. So there was just like literally like 2 hours of grooved pavement. So like I'm holding the steering wheel and it's going like the whole car is like vibrating, and all I pictured in my head was all of the, I mean, everything was soldered, but I just imagined all of the wires like coming loose inside of the sealed football blimp shape. It was fine, but my Duker was puckered for like 8 hours until I got there. And the craziest thing too, like I got my hotel room, I walked the blimp up, I was gonna put it on the table next to the TV, but instead I put it on the side table, which was like a smaller table, and I don't know why I did it. I put it there, and I put like my suitcase and my backpack and maybe like a case of water on the table. And literally like an hour later, that table had collapsed because it wasn't anchored into the wall. And all I could see was like this, like alternate future where I had driven 10 hours with this blimp and it was destroyed before I could,
How big was that blimp?
2 feet. It was a half studio scale.
Okay, so I saw a video of Adam Savage working, and he was talking about you. And
yeah, it was another set of parts. I sold those parts to him.
Okay, did he keep that?
Probably, I don't know.
Yeah,
I kind of want to revisit it. I have better data, of course. It's been 10 years, so more shit has filtered in. Yeah, literally, I had finished the body, and Doug Trumbull released a side image of it. And on the front, if you look, the sort of weird hump does this, and then it dives in, and then it does this. And mine didn't dive in, and I died inside. I was like, how could you, like, fuck, it was like, I was so bad.
You loser.
Well, I joke about it now, like with the ion cannon, I literally am shocked that this didn't happen, but I figured once I had finished all that sweat equity of making the ion cannon,
it would come out.
That pictures would come out and somebody would be like, oh, I got this, and I'd be like, cool, thanks.
I saw like one that I've never seen before, but I know you've had it. I think he's holding it. The guy is holding it.
Oh yeah, Ease is holding it. Yeah. I had coffee with him early 2019, I think. And I told him I was building it, and I had brought with me to San Francisco a couple pieces that I had grown on the Form 2 at the time. And he was just like, oh, you're making that? Okay. And then I showed him the parts. We met at a coffee shop. And he looks at the parts and he's like, I machined this out of acrylic. How did you? And I said, I just drew it in Rhino and I printed it on my printer. And he said, your printer? And I said, yeah. And he's like, where is the printer? And it's like, it's in my basement. And he's like, how much did that thing cost? I was like, almost like, it was like $3,500. And he's like, he was freaked out and excited because he teaches 3D industrial design now. And he didn't realize that the resin printers had gotten so crazy. So we stopped talking about Star Wars for like 20 minutes. And I had to tell him about the technology of the form printer. And he was just like, holy shit. But the best part about it is I was explaining to him how, the barrels have to like do the double recoil, but this barrel has to recede, and then the whole thing has to go into the body, and the pedals have to close, and we have this cam system all made, and like, we're still working on it, me and Josh, and mostly Josh. And he's like, you're making this way more complicated. It was a screw drive. He's like, why are you making this so nuts? And I'm like, because we can. Sorry. He was just like, you're insane, like in the best possible way. But that was it was pretty funny. Like, he was kind of surprised that anybody would attempt the weird cannon thing. So that was neat.
Could you imagine back in the 70s, Jason, being able to go hang out with all those some bitches in those back warehouse stages where they're doing all their stuff? Hey, real quick, there's a lot that we want to talk about, man. Fun stuff about models. Yeah. But what did you think about recently the Disney release? And then there was also a release talking with George Lucas's ex-wife, and there was a lot of ILM footage released through those.
The Icons Unearthed show. Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, it was good. I really want to meet her.
Me too.
everyone I've ever talked to who talks about her, they're like, she was
Up on a throne, right?
she was the heart of Lucasfilm.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
They get very wistful and reverent, and she also seems like a total spitfire, like a real pistol, which I really appreciate, because like,
yeah,
I mean, it takes a certain kind of person to be able to be like, fuck this about something really important.
Yes.
They've got like gravitas when they have the stones to sort of like tell it like it is. But like, even like just the microcosm of building models the way we do, it takes a village to do anything. And of course, Star Wars was not possible without like just legion of people, very talented people. So yeah, George Lucas made Star Wars, but at the same time, he couldn't have done it by himself. Marcia was integral to it. Gary Kurtz, like he kind of got like, they sort of painted him in a little negative light in that one, which I find interesting. I don't know the real history, or, like the history of all these things changes with perception. So you can ask 20 different people the sequence of events, you'll get 20 different stories.
Right.
I mean, that happens constantly with our research. Like we'll ask a model guy, hey, remember what you did at work 47 years ago? And they're like, no. And you're like, well, so like,
and what's got to be so important, Jason, is a lot of these guys, respectfully, they're dying off, and there's still some young ones, you got some young ones in the group still, but like the originals, like Steve Golly's gone rogue, man. I wish I could talk to that guy, especially now. And I haven't talked to him in almost a year.
Yeah, I was pretty social with Dave Jones, and he passed away. And like, I'm sad because a friend died, but I'm also sad because all of that institutional knowledge is gone.
Yeah.
And every time we hung out, year after year after year, he would just tell a story that I'd never heard before, a little off the cuff or whatever, over dinner or whatever. And I'd be like, what? Like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And to him, like, he knew that we ate it up with a spoon, but like to him, he's just sort of, oh yeah, that thing happened. And we're like, I'm steeped in this enough that like a lot of times somebody will say something off the cuff and it connects dots and it solves a mystery. Like the X-Wing, over the years, there's been so many people fighting about what color was it painted, base coat, and what primer was used. And there's like in print from 77 or 78, you've got Grant McCune on record saying, XYZ. And then you've got other people saying something completely different. And Dave one day just literally offhand was like, yeah, we were doing a lot of experimenting and everybody was trying different things. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, like with the X-Wing, I mean, some people were painting it, like priming it black. Some were priming it gray. Some people were painting it like bone white. And other was like a creamier white. And some people like, he said Joe Johnson liked to like scratch it with Scotch-Brite and like knock it back so that some of the black came through. And then I was like, oh my God. And you go back and you look at all the photos and you're like, Red 5's kind of, like bright. Red 1 is almost bone white. Red 3 is really creamy. The pyros are kind of dingy. And then you can't really look at the way it looks now, or, pictures from even Jedi, because the color shifts and they also resprayed stuff. But it's sort of like, if you look at the A New Hope era photography, you're like, oh my God, they're all different because they're all different. Like, yes, color timing, the way the negative was scanned and like processed, etc., might skew things, but these models, you can't really pin them down. I know that drives people insane because
it drives you insane.
No,
as long as I've known you.
No, it doesn't. It fascinates.
You're a freak over that X-Wing.
I'm a total freak over it, but I'm also like really like organic and like kind of like fuck it about a lot of that kind of thing, only because it's art, it's creativity, and you get sort of close, you get the vibe. I know Tom Spina in one of the talks, I can't remember who it was with, had said it's the spirit of the weathering, not necessarily like the exact like scratches and whatever. Like, and I really liked that because you can either do things organically in the same vein, or you can like do the art forgery that's never going to quite be right and take 30 times longer, and you're never going to be happy with it.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is just sort of understanding the limitations of like time and space. And I also always say, just make it for your either yourself or a client, but just make it so that you're happy. And if somebody on Facebook or whatever says you're wrong, so like, who cares?
I'm just glad I'm not that. I don't get. I think what I have learned on a lot of these things is obviously is when you see them like in pictures versus when you actually get them and how you light them in your particular space. It's completely different. You have no idea in the background the true colors of these ships.
Yeah.
It's until you're in. I know when I do the studio gallery, that's going to be second to none. It's going to be Mac Daddy when it comes. I want to make sure it's very good lighting on each particular model where we give, that model what it's deserved, all the time that like you and Salzo and all these guys put into these damn things. So
yeah. I like how you're
surrounded. I just there's just something about these deals, and when I was talking to Jim when he was here about the frigate, it's sad, that it's sad, but yet it's good. It's cool because of this 3D. So this 3D thing, I've never really come out and said it, but it's kind of the 3D thing's cool because now it's going to be a lot more accessible for people that number one, more affordability for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And plus being able to find people that even have the time like you or Mike or these other great artists like Jim are just busy, and it takes so much time to build one freaking model. So, when you have these guys like NYC coming out and they're doing this, I think they're a great. I had somebody, it was Marcel, and I didn't answer his question. He asked me the other day, "What do you think about his his models compared to like the accuracy?" And I think that they're decent models for the money, And Michael even mentioned it. He's like, "Look, dude, these aren't look at what they're priced at. These aren't $3,000, $5,000 models.
Yeah.
But I mean, he does a good job on them for how they're put together, and it's
10 years ago, if you had told me that I could get a mostly almost completely built and prepped escape pod for $600, I would have like fainted.
Yeah.
And it's not 100% accurate, but that's not the market.
No.
I mean, how many guys are out there that are going to be like, that's not the correct and tank tread, like that should be a Panzer or whatever. And like there's 10 guys like that. I've always said that like if you roll up to a show like Wonderfest with a 5-foot Falcon and some guy comes up and he's just like, you didn't use the Nitto kit, you used the Tamiya kit, you can see the sink mark is different.
Jason, be honest, is that you, Jason? Be honest.
No, it's not. But like if there's a guy like that would, I might, if I noticed, I would internalize it and keep it to myself and go like, huh, he used something differently.
I believe that.
Pass judgment, I would just be like, okay, that's different. But the people that pass judgment and they're like, that's wrong, I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Like,
bitch slap them.
Joy killer, like, and I'm like, you're not building anything. Like the guys that like the accuracy hounds that do that have never built something original to save their life.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't know.
And I respect those guys, that are trying to get them very accurate.
100%. Like,
but dude,
I've been there. I've done that.
Nobody really cares.
It bores me. It bores me now.
I know.
And that's personal. Like, that being said, I'm like being pretty accurate with those 2 Death Star towers.
Well, you have you know what? Look, Now this is
Is that the segue to the?
it is. Now
All
when we talk about accuracy and you have something in your hand, I mean, look, when you're trying to put together, the accuracy on a Y wing, the attention to detail versus what you're working on, you got to have something in hand, right? And when you have them in hand, holy shit,
Yeah. When you have it in hand, there's no excuse. Okay, so uh, next year Wonderfest, we were trying to think of like a fun group build for Jedi, and an ILMer was like, "Hey, how about Death Star Tower? Like, I could like send it to you, and you could like repattern it, use it as reference, and then everybody can get a casting and then like paint it up fun, and then we have like a whole Death Star Tower tableau." And I was like, yeah. And I already had the A New Hope Tower locked, and that was the one. They only made one for A New Hope, and it's like 4 sections. And then in Jedi, there's 3 other ones. There's what I call like the medium Jedi one that uses that A New Hope top, but has a much straighter, longer like body. And then there's a very, very small one, which we also had already done. And then there was a large, really big one. And so there were basically 2 that I didn't have. And so this dude sends me the 2 that I didn't have. And so this shows up. This is the small one. So this is a Return of the Jedi Death Star Tower miniature. Okay, and this is nuts because somebody else sent me another example of the A New Hope one and asked me if I could finish it, like replace the bottom that was missing and the gun that was missing.
Okay, so holy shit. Okay,
So
these
this is from 1976. This is A New Hope, right? And it has that gun with the block on it. That's also used on the Galactica.
So these are original models.
These are all real. These are from production. Yeah. So I know, right? Yeah, it's just sitting in my house. So this A New Hope.
Did you go like into your bathroom and like set them down and Okay, we can't talk.
I'll never tell. We have a tea party. This A New Hope. This A New Hope one.
That is so cool.
Top was like repurposed for Jedi. So the Jedi ones, this might have been cast off of this because it seems a little smaller, but I haven't quite figured it out. So anyway, I've already got the body locked from before. So we're IDing the guns. Like there's lots of little stuff on the guns, and I'm gonna laser cut this body, and then that will be done, and that will be molded and cast, and everybody can make a copy. And then there's.
So I'm sorry to cut you off. So IDing, what's the process for these guys that are watching that don't understand?
Okay.
What do you mean IDing?
What I mean by that is I have 2 friends, Craig and Ed, that are like just so knowledgeable about model kit parts, and they love to ID stuff. And whenever I get something into my hands, they're like, take a million pictures, and I do. And then like we suss it out. And I actually made one ID on this big one, which I was very proud of because I usually am beaten to the punch by those guys because they just know all the kits somehow because they've done it so many times. I'm the guy that will get the IDs, build the thing, and then it just leaves my head. Like I don't retain it. It's not a priority for me, sadly. But those guys like keep all that stuff in mind, which is pretty amazing. So I just take lots of photos, send it to those guys, and we go back and forth. And we're still in the process of IDing both of the guns, but the bodies are done. And then the big fella. Whoa. So This is from Jedi. This is biscuit foam. It doesn't weigh a thing. It's crazy light. The other 2 things are like featherweight, but you can see the guns are just encrusted with stuff. And there's the head and the body. So what we do, I take lots of photos of everything. All the parts are ID'd, and then I decide how to go about what's the best way to go about replicating it. So for the body, I literally put this on my flatbed scanner, except for this part, which I just took a straight-on photo of, and traced everything in Adobe Illustrator. And then I have a laser cutter, like everybody. Very fortunate to have a laser cutter. I cut it. I did this today. It took 2 hours, but I cut all 4 of the body panels in clear.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And this is a deep etch. And I will tomorrow or in the next couple of days, I'll put this on a belt sander and do 45-degree bevels, and I'll glue all four sides. I've got all four. Collect them all. And I'll make the body. And then
That is so
I
badass.
have to do the chip detail. So the body on this one only has like, it's either 010 or 020 styrene. So because I have this in hand, like I can literally, like I literally held this up to the one side and checked everything. It was like, yep, nailed. Like you can hold this up. You can hold this up to the thing and you're like, yeah, same size. Hot
Dude,
damn.
that's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
That is just so incredible. And one thing I want to just jump in real quick and just tell Armando, I think it was Armando that asked, has Jason built any props from the aliens and other deals? We'll get to that in a little bit. Ask that
Yeah.
question again because we will talk about some of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
I'll share screen with a couple things. I saw that. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
I do have something in the works.
Yeah.
But so for the head, I'm looking at this head and I'm like, yeah, I could do the same thing with acrylic, but it would be faster if I just print this head form, by itself, because this will fit on my form too. None of the detail parts, just the geometry. And I did that 35-hour print, I think. And then today, because I knew we were going to be talking tonight, I digitally added all of the etch panels to match the depth of what the laser cutter would do, because I just know how thick and deep. Like,
you got a problem.
Yeah, I've just done it too many times, so I kind of know.
That is
and
so
then
awesome, Jason.
because of Craig and Ed, they're like,
Yeah.
you need this kit, this kit, this kit, this kit, and this kit for the head. And
So do they like collect all of the models from this?
yeah, I had all of the kits needed except for two. Like we've done this song and dance so many times that I can go like under my house where the storage is. I have like over 90 bins now. It's so messed up.
Of
But
models.
like, because I take the kits and I take all the sprues and put them into poly bags, like freezer bags, and throw them into like Sterilite containers to save space, because otherwise it would be the whole house. It's 20 years of collecting this stuff.
That's so cool.
Like, this is the head pattern. I finished it today.
Wow.
And like this is cut off of a M577 or something. But like this piece and this piece are really fascinating to me because it's the same part, but they cut it and sanded it back and did weird shit. This is all crocodile Churchill. These tank treads are cut in half. And then I had to, because they're vinyl tank treads, and I know this has to be molded and cast, I had to very laboriously cut the vinyl, the bottom, like the other side, the facing, that gets glued down. I had to cut all the nubs off so that there wouldn't be any undercuts. This took all day. This took literally all day. And this was after I had printed it, after I had prepped it. And it's funny, I had printed a lattice underneath just to make sure these two sides didn't warp when it got cured. And I'm sending this to Mike Salzo to cast probably. And, I was saying to Mike, I was like, I'm going to cut this out. And he's like, no, leave it actually, because I can use that to suspend in the mold. Yeah. And I was like, oh, awesome. So like, I love that the process is hand in hand, with the casting, and that it's always evolving. So yeah, so the only thing I need to do now with this is put all of the little chips on it, and then that's done. And the barrel was probably hand turned because all these little guys are slightly different spaced. And so I drew it up and I printed one. So
dude,
yeah. So
that's badass.
This needs all of the little kit parts put around this block. That's going to hold us up probably for another like month or whatever.
Wow. But look, this is,
so much work goes into this.
It's so cool.
It's insane.
But it's fun, right? Finding all the little parts, and what's going to be really cool is that
Total Rush.
I guess you can't share the guy's name that loaned you those parts, but man, that's going to be really cool. Hey, so when they, because I don't know a lot about that part, Jason. So I know that a lot of they figured it out when what's his name with the beard that that goes to Wonderfest.
The guy with the beard.
I know.
What's the guy with the beard with the hair?
He hired a lot of the modelers. I just went blank on his name. Huh?
Lauren Peterson?
Lauren. Yeah. Lauren. I reached out to him. I would love to hear back from him. So
he very well could be at Wonderfest. You never know.
Yeah. So anyway, I know he came up with the casting, right, Jason? I mean, he didn't come up, but he started casting a lot of that stuff. Did they cast those as well? Like 100 of those? Or
I would assume by the time Empire came around, I think he was running the model shop, or at least supervising parts, elements of it. He probably didn't cast this. This was probably, because it was Jedi, it was probably cast by Wesley Seeds, who ran the mold shop. It's funny you say that, because today I was starting to think there are a couple of really interesting, weird decisions with how parts were put on and made. And not that you can step into the shoes of a fella, but you start to understand there are different, when they worked on the Falcon in 76, they would all stand around it. It's a big circle. They would stand around it, and every 15 or 20 minutes, apparently they would rotate, because they didn't want anybody to own one spot, because everybody has their own design language, whether it's intentional or not. And I know Dave Beasley was really into World War II German armor. He liked the tanks and that kind of stuff. So when you start researching the stuff and just being steeped in it for so long, you start sort of seeing weird patterns, and you're like, I think da made this, and I think and most of the time you're right, which is really kind of weird, so you can ask Paul
their building styles.
There's a signature in a way. And so you can ask Paul Houston, did you work on this? And he's just like, yeah, I did. And you're like, I knew it. It's really cool. I don't know who made the guns, and I'm going to ask around, because I kind of want to know who patterned these.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty late in the game. That was the last show. I don't think Bill did it. It could have been Charlie Bailey, maybe. But a lot of these guys, or Jeff, maybe Jeff Mann. I don't know. But I'm gonna ask around, and it doesn't really solve any questions, except it's kind of cool to know. These are made, this is biscuit foam, so it's a foamed resin. It's kind of coarse when it's raw, very lightweight.
That's why I was wondering how that is compared to how it's done, when Mike makes one,
the resin casting that we end up with is, I guarantee, will be heavier than that. But it'll be a lot nicer, only because it's not made for a movie. There's that's a finished piece, but you can still see bubbles, and nobody took the time to fill in little imperfections, because you literally would never see it. Even in 4K, you just don't see it.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool. Yeah, we were talking about the Falcon.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. You had some pictures or something?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's try this. So I was asked if I've ever made anything from the thing. Funny enough, I have, and I am. Whoa, is that flashing for you?
It is.
Damn, what the hell? All right, let's stop. Let's try that again. I'm going to give everybody a seizure. Let's try that again. Hey, better. Okay, so I am making Blair's saucer from the thing, and it's the ship that's underground that Blair was making. It's the personal UFO that the thing is trying to make to escape.
Dude, how is there that much kind of reference on that?
No, there's nothing. You see that screenshot at the bottom? That's it. That's pretty.
I gotcha.
And it's that kind of insurmountable challenge is catnip for me, because I'm I need I will defeat you, that kind of thing. Somebody will be like, you can't do it. I'm like, oh, fuck you, I can't, and I just do it. And a lot of it I'm gonna make up. Okay, so again, the base saucer, the top and the bottom, 3D printed. Everything inside, I'm scratch building. And 3D gets a bad rep only because there's a lot of free files out there. Most of the free files are crap.
Yeah.
In my experience, they're not made by a model maker, but there's different camps of 3D guys. There's the guys that just sort of hoard files and never seem to print anything. There's the guys that print a million things and never finish anything. There's the guys that print and build and just chunk it out and it's okay. I use it as a tool in the process, and it's not a be all end all, and it's only ever a step in the final. I love the hand finishing stuff. So
well said.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I don't begrudge anybody doing whatever they want.
Of
like
course.
it's just to get to the finish line however you feel. So okay, so I've got, you can see my mouse kind of. So I've got this form. You can see these strips. I've got thin aluminum that I'm going to put down over top of this. So when I build something, I'm planning on like all of the layers that I'm going to add, right? So, I'm like, I'm just going to build this form and I'm going to fill it with nonsense. And so those strips will be aluminum. Like you can see them kind of curling up, and that'll be fun to bring it to here and then curl. Lots of wires. God, I love.
I was going to say, what is all that shit right there? That's
Who
cool.
knows? I don't know.
So when did you start this? I mean, it's so crazy. Me and you'll be talking on the phone, and you'll be like, "I'll bring it," and you'll be, "Oh yeah, I got that. Been doing that."
So much half-finished shit. I know. I meant to finish this for this year, and I just didn't. I will try to finish it for next year's Wonderfest. This to me looks like some sort of like ductwork, so I made this weird ductwork thing. Okay, so I printed it in like maybe that's like probably 3 sections. And yeah, I had to number them all. It was a nightmare.
That's so cool.
Apparently, that the video I shot, I don't know. A lot of this is old. But you can see how crap certain angles can be when you're printing. And I probably printed this at a lower resolution, knowing that it was a very simple form. These are all supports I have to knock off, and I sanded all that. So it's funny that I use 3D as a shortcut to save my hands, but I still have to sand everything. It's like evil. It wasn't that bad. The engine. Okay, so in the film they do one pan, and you do get to see the engine section. So I printed this. I was actually having trouble with my printer at one point. So
okay. I don't. Everyone, so I got to cut you off, dude. So let me ask you, Jason. So, like that one-shot pan, how do you? This is what fascinates me right here. It's like, how do you take like, because this isn't a model, right? That you get, or did somebody? Are you creating this from
100% me? Yeah, nobody's ever made this.
All right. So that being said, so you create like that image. You take that image. It's like in a 3D image, and you move it over. Is that how that works?
I look at the photo and I just start drawing in 3D and reference it. I'm not doing photogrammetry. I'm literally just looking at the photo and using my eyes and fine art background to be like, okay, well, it's a circle and it's about this tall. And you can kind of like move things around. Yeah, it's all, and it could be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, but still, with the reference, with the real little reference, it's so crazy. The 3D thing, man. I remember going into Gentle Giant years ago. This was about 13 years ago. What's that?
Sorry.
Have you been there at Gentle Giant? Or
yeah, actually, I have.
Burbank?
That is a cool ass place. They have a very, very large resin printer. Like, it looks like it's like 5 feet long with a big.
They were like one of the first people to ever get 3D printer, man. I mean, I'm telling you, like I said, it's like 13, 14 years ago.
Yeah, I talked shop with them for like a good 30, 45 minutes about very specific stuff. And I think I bored the guys I was with. Because I was like, what does your printer do? And how cool can it, like, it was pretty neat.
Did you see that big wing table that they had? This was the one in
Burbank. Like aircraft?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah. So to sell, okay, so I decided on scale. I just made the thing. I think it's like a 12-inch record size. I scale a lot of stuff thinking like, will it fit on my shelf? You know, like
Yeah.
will it be small enough that I can like, and so this thing's like, you know, about that big. It's downstairs. I probably
Yeah.
should have brought it up. But you can see this yellow thing I've highlighted in this one photo that I took of my screen. That's a welder's mask, and it's actually sitting on the saucer, but that sells the scale to anybody
Oh,
who's
that is so
so
cool.
it's always really important for me to put a touchstone in real life, like so somebody can read what it looks like. You can and by the way, this shit, like Rust-Oleum bought Plasticoat and then killed all the best primers. Like I had stock for like
Oh no.
it's all gone now. It makes me very sad. But anyway, it was very forgiving and it laid very nicely. It was lacquer based. So why do I have so many videos? Look at those shaking hands. Jesus Christ.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I don't know why I've got so many pictures of the same kind of damn thing. There we go. This is a little better because I know I've done more work on it. So yeah, I just started sort of loading it with stuff. There was like a suggestion of something here, so I added that, and then I just started adding model kit
Holy
parts.
crap! You got a
Like
lot done on it.
Yeah, I mean, like you can kind of see where I was going. This is it. This area, this whole area is what's underneath the engine, and I just want the idea of machinery. You know, once I add all the wires and stuff, it's gonna look really great. And
Holy shit! You do have. I was gonna say once you start painting it, god
Yeah.
dang, bro.
Yeah. And I'm not even like halfway done. I don't think. Maybe I'm halfway done. Apparently, I have a
so
wire
cool.
collection. Yeah. So
yeah, I don't mean to just stroke your. I mean, dude, you just it's so cool, Jason. Seeing
here we
this.
go. I started. Okay, so that's how far I've gotten. Apparently, it's been like literally a year and a half since I've touched this thing. I need to get back to that. All right,
It's so awesome, dude.
Let's see. Somebody asked if I made alien stuff. I made a small derelict like 100 years ago. And apparently, I bracketed my photos. It was like just a handheld model of the alien derelict, which is pretty cool. Let's see.
So amazing.
I'm making a beholder. Like I love D&D beholders.
Okay. Oh, look at that. That's
yeah.
cool.
This is a taxidermied bear eye. So I've been sculpting it. That's like this is another thing that's like 3 or 4 years old. I want to make that version, the real goofy one from like the 70s. So there's a lot of like dumb passion project crap.
Kind of reminded me of the Big Trouble in Little China kind of thing.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I've been really wanting to make another tower from Blade Runner. Like I riffed and just sort of made one up.
Dude, I love that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just what you need to really make. Like you need to be creative sometimes, and just make weird stuff like mental health reasons. This was all Blade Runner blimp stuff. This was literally 10 years ago. So the technology at the time was carved out of foam and then $1 for vacuum forming.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a badass ship, dude. I would love to freaking have that son bitch.
Look at that young man who had no idea what he was.
Hey, was that the inner? That was the like out of aluminum. The center. God, that's badass. What do you, I'm losing my mind. The armature.
You want to talk about aluminum armature? This damn thing. This whole thing is machined aluminum.
Holy shit!
Yeah, the mini.
How big is that?
It is tiny. It's like 18 inches long, 16 inches long. It's the very first model you see in Star Wars. Funny enough.
Oh yeah. I remember when you did that.
Yeah. I made a ton of Battlestar models back in the day. Yeah. I patterned the. Oh, you have that, right?
I have it. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, this is me making the pattern for it out of acrylic, like 100 years ago. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So I know you've tackled other outside of Star Wars, but like right now, looking forward, I know it's never ending. But is there
Yeah.
is there a model that you really have a goal to accomplish in another film, or
Um, like I want to make. Do I have it here? I made the stair car from that TV show Arrested Development, and
hmm,
if you haven't seen the show, it's a comedy. It's from the early 2000s, and
I
the
remember seeing it on
family,
their website.
yeah, the family like was really rich, and they had their own jet, and then they lost their fortune, but they got to keep the stair car,
Oh, that's
which was
hilarious.
used to like board the jet, and it's just this whole family's really pathetic. And so my buddy George Takis works at, he's an aircraft mechanic engineer or something, and so he like did a survey of one that was really close to it, which really helped me, and I ended up making a really good model of it. So in that vein, I don't know if I have any pictures. Yep, I want to do the Pork Chop Express from Big Trouble in Little China, and it's just a truck, right? But
Oh,
like,
the truck that he's in and down where the fight goes on, or the one
yeah,
that.
yeah, 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 yeah. And so there's a model kit of it, but it's a little different. Like the sleeper cab is different. So like now I'm educating myself on what engine might have been in that truck that year, and I'm designing and 3D printing the correct sleeper cab parts. I was given photos from production of the truck, like
Yeah,
stuff
you
that's
got
like,
bro. That's
you
so
know, like
badass.
like I'm very, like, okay, now I can nail like the haul and ass like front,
That's
like
so cool.
it gets out of control, and then like I'm 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 like 60 to 70% of the way there to make this thing really really good. And you can see I took a ton of screen caps. Somebody sent me a picture of like the interior, like I've got the decals down. Like there's very helpful shots from the film where you can see the back and the
Man, talk about reference, brother.
I know.
Hey, Lee was asking, is it too much trouble to show your completed Blade Runner? I don't know if we
I don't
ever.
think so. Let me see
I
if
mean,
it's
I don't know if Lee's a big Blade Runner fan as well, and I don't know if they've seen it with the LCD playing. And I mean,
all that
did,
stuff.
did it have voice on it too, or was it or
No,
sound?
100%. So yeah, so like I throw it out there, and this was on Facebook like 10 years ago. Like I'm just like, hey, I'm building a Blade Runner blimp, and my friend that happened to be like second unit with Ridley Scott and worked on all the Blade Runner DVDs and Blu-rays was like, hey, I have the ad. You want to put that on the blimp? It was like, please and thank you. So he just sends me the file of the actual ad, and I had scaled the whole thing. Literally started with this. Literally, this is how it started. I found an image and scaled it to a LCD photo frame that I had cobbled together, but like sort of like cannibalized that played video, and it just happened to be half scale. So that's the only reason it set the scale was because I had this 4:3 ratio screen ready to go, and then I paid. I got I got scans of all of the original art for the Tyrell building and the blimp from a friend who had production material, and I redrew everything and had it photo etched, and like I paid a very talented guy who used to run a company called Lightbenders. I don't even know if he's still around, but he made like all of the electronics, and like the little spotlights are on a 3D printed gimbal. You can see two servos running it. So the spotlight actually rotates in 3 dimensions and rakes across the ground. And this is a piece of photo etch that I had custom made. So that's the gimbal in like design. So that's the finished blimp.
That's unbelievable.
And it shows the video, and it like lights up, and it blinks, and it does everything it's supposed to.
Is this what Adam Savage saw and had to have one?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I had taken some dry ice from work and brought it home and put it in a punch bowl essentially with some hot water, and would set up the camera on like a 10-second timer, and would take the bowl and blow it so that it would like sort of settle over top of the blimp so I could get these atmospheric photos. Because like,
so awesome.
you know, very low rent stuff. There is a video, it's on my website, Jason Eaton Studio, and it shows it in action. I do want to make another one. That's pretty fun.
So how hard do you think it would be to do an actual studio Close Encounters mothership?
Honestly, not hard, just time intensive. I visited the Garber facility in Silver Hill, Maryland in 1998, before the Udvar-Hazy was constructed, and the mothership was sitting in a corner, dusty, like just literally no case, just sitting in the corner of this essentially storage facility where like the Enola Gay was, etc. Because I was like, you could back. I don't think they do it anymore, but that back then you could just get a free tour with a docent. You would just call.
And who is it? Because I don't know what you're talking about.
This is the Air and Space Museum, the Smithsonian.
Okay.
They have cold storage essentially of all the shit that hasn't been restored yet. So there's like maybe 5-10 like aircraft Quonset hut hangar looking things in Silver Hill, Maryland. And literally in 1998, I just went there because I wanted to see the German flying wing and all the weird shit. The Canadian Avro car, which is like this flying saucer thing, they have that. But the mothership was there, and I had no idea. And so we walk in, we're talking to the guy, and there's like 8 of us, and I'm like the youngest one there by like a good 30 years, 40 years. Everybody else is like in their 50s and 60s at the time. And I look over and I'm like, that's from Close Encounters. And he's like, yes, very good, young man, kind of thing. I'm like, Greg Jean built that. And he's like, whatever. So I walked over and I took like a whole bunch of pictures. And then when Udvar-Hazy opened and they had it in the case, I just walked around and took like 9,000 pics. So it could be done. It just would be a super time suck. A lot of that stuff, Greg Jean used railroad parts, like lots of like girders and things like that. So it could, yeah.
It's about what? Is it about 4 foot around? About?
No, I think it's bigger than that. I think it's bigger than that. And another Dave Jones story. I think Dave worked on that, and he said when they were working on it, they were getting a lot of Mexican carryout, and he said we kept eating chips, and we would drop chips into the body, and he said when it was all buttoned up and they rotated it to paint or whatever, he said it sounded like, he's like, if you open that up today, there would be like 30 stale nacho chips inside. He's like, we dropped so many of those things in there and never pulled them out. And he's like, if you turn that thing, he's like, you hear them all sort of like tumbling around. At least back then. That's the kind of shit that I love. Because if it's ever torn down, people would be like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah. I've seen little deals about them building that, and the little R2D2 in there, the little things.
There's all sorts of. There's a mailbox. There's an R2. There's a Vader tie, like on a
stop sign or some shit, or a railroad sign.
Yeah. There's a graveyard. Yeah, it's pretty great. There's there's an army man in I think it's the Darth Vader Star Destroyer, in like deeply buried in the Greeblies, and he's like reaching out. Let me see. I don't know if I could find that. I might.
That's really cool how you did like the McQuarrie Sandcrawler, how you put like the little teddy bear in there. Just a little stuff.
It's so fun to add that kind of stuff. I'm gonna look for that and see if I can find that real quick. It'd be under S for Star Destroyer probably. But yeah, like you sort of live and die by your photo reference, essentially. You know what I mean? Okay, yeah, I do have it. Wow, check that out.
Very cool.
Share screen. Share. There you go. Okay. Do you see him?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Right?
Dude.
I just love how he's like, beseeching.
So that's the Close Encounters mothership?
No, that is the Darth Vader Super Star Destroyer.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were talking about that. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Holy
I don't
crap.
even know where that is on the model. But yeah, somewhere there's a little
Hey,
dude,
how long is that thing?
1,000,000 feet. It's like, I don't know, 8, 15, 30 feet. Who knows?
Yeah, seriously, it's in it like 10 feet.
It's huge. Yeah, here's Pat
Yeah.
McClung. It's that big, however long that is. 8 feet, probably. Yeah, I guess. You know
I
what's
talked to Jim
really
about it.
you know what's really funny about that model? I don't know if a lot of people know this, but it went on tour and was kind of destroyed. It was dropped, and when it fell, it just shattered like a Lego model. And it Lauren said he used to, just as a kind of, I guess, joke, quote models on how many Ferraris it would cost to like build, like like that was 1.5 Ferraris or whatever. And I think he said at the time in 79 when they built it for Empire, it was like 150 grand to pull that thing off or whatever. And in the early 2000s when it was destroyed partially and they had to rebuild it, it was like 8 or 10 times more expensive to fix it, like to put Humpty Dumpty back together.
Yeah,
And
because he had to deal with budgets,
oh yeah. And in 2005, I was at the archives, and you're sitting in the loading dock, and you're waiting for the big bay door to open to like Valhalla, and there's a shelf, like a old, IKEA Billy type shelf situation. There's a bunch of shit on there, and there was a baggie, and I remember Steve Dimzo picked it up and he hands it to me, and it says Super Star Destroyer extra parts, and it's loads of white plastic card that it's like a rectangle, and on the bottom of it it's notched and painted that Super Star Destroyer color, and clearly was on the model and was part of like all of the layers of superstructure, and it was just shit like that they didn't put back on it or didn't know where
Where's
it
that?
went.
You have it?
No, we put it back on the shelf.
Yeah.
But it's just it was hilarious because like it reminded me of how I feel like I would be if I disassembled a car engine, put it back together, and had a spare bolt. I'd be like,
Yeah.
like you can't
I know,
ever know where everything goes. It's the spirit of it. So, however that model looks today, it's not exactly how it was built because it had to be reconstructed. It still looks amazing, but it's pretty
Yeah,
crazy.
I heard that. I think it was Salzo that might have told me that Fawn Davis had to redo the 8-foot Star Destroyer because it was traveling around upright,
Mm-hmm.
and it had a bunch of damage as well.
It might be the same situation then. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that toward models around?
Oh my god, they get so messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And you wonder. Hopefully, Lucas's big place. I wonder if all those models are going to be on display there. Or
I feel like there's going to be a lot of permanent resting place situations with the new museum, which is great because those things deserve to be retired. They deserve their retirement.
For sure. I wonder when they're going to be open. When that place will be done.
I don't know, man. Yeah, it's endlessly fascinating to me. I cannot wait to see what makes the cut.
Yeah,
it'll be cool. But like, I mean, those models were not meant to last. You talk to any of the guys, they're like, we built it for the shots. Like all it needed to do was last on stage long enough for the compositing, and then who cares? Nobody was precious about it. Maybe they are now because they know. But at the time, it was just a tool to make a thing.
Yeah.
Like we've turned them into holy relics, which they were not built to be. And I really do not envy any archivist that has to deal with these models because the plastics are breaking down. Some stuff is literally melting.
Yeah,
over time. It's sad, but
And you know what's really cool about Collection Wars? What Gabe and I get to do is we get to have industry guests on here, like Bees. We had him on here, and he
mhm,
was in charge of the archives.
mhm.
You know what I mean?
In the
And
90s, yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
he got to walk around there, and he knew every piece in there. I don't know if you ever got to. I don't know what year it was the first time you ever were able to go to the archives. But
I think it was 2004 or 5. Yeah. I mean, it's totally different now. It's
yeah,
funny, when I first started going there, I didn't know like a tenth of what I know now, I feel like, and I really wish I could travel back in time with the
yeah,
knowledge that I have and like solve all the
right.
mysteries that we still feel like are lingering. You know?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I know that there's a lot of construction going on out there because I was invited finally, and they said just to wait till like the first of the year when all the construction settles down, and I'll get a tour out there, which would be cool. But
Oh,
I
cool.
don't even know what else is really out there right now, you know. So
Yeah, and it
at
is
this point, you know,
it's definitely a different mode because they're in like museum mode.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder what all have you heard of anything that's going on with the new Star Wars stuff at D23? Gabe was telling me that I saw that there's the new Mando trailers
I
just came
saw the
out.
new Mando trailer. Just whatever I've seen on the internet. I don't have
Yeah,
any
yeah,
inside
me
information on that
too.
stuff. Yeah, I'm not important enough for somebody to be like, hey, guess what the plot of blah 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 is.
I know.
Every once in a while I might get a little morsel, but usually
Yeah,
not.
yeah. He said he shared some pictures. Let's. Can you dive into those? What he had? What he
Who?
sent?
Gabe?
What Gabe didn't he upload on? I don't know. What did he say?
I
I
haven't
think.
seen. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Let me see what he said.
I know that Harrison Ford was posing.
He said he did a photo dump on the Facebook group,
Oh,
the
cool,
Collection Wars Facebook group.
cool. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Lots
whole
of
bunch
Star
of
Wars.
there's a
Lots
whole
of
bunch of
Star Wars news.
yeah, there's a whole bunch of short round like chatter, but I don't know. I would be surprised if he's in the movie. I think it was just the actors uh, meeting up.
Yeah.
Not It's wishful thinking on my behalf. Yeah, yeah, really, really crazy. There's like, what is it? Jude Law is in some skeleton crew thing, and I don't even know what that is yet. There's a
Huh.
like Star Wars stuff is like accelerating to the point where I'm like trying to catch up. Like
Yeah, I
I
just
don't know
texted.
anything. Like I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm so like just nose down, trying to figure out like my personal mystery, kind of things.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
that
looking.
that 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 gas mine just looks beautiful. It wants to be in the gallery, doesn't it?
It
Yeah.
does. It's for sale if you want it.
I
to,
know. I
to quote
know.
to quote Obi-Wan. Yeah.
Let's just see what happens.
Oh yeah. It's not going anywhere at the moment.
And
Yeah.
hey, thank you so much, Jason, for the heads up on the Jaws barrels. So
Did you get one?
I did. I'm hoping it'll be done soon, but
That's
it's
awesome. It's
obviously.
so ridiculously weird, and I love it. Lisa, my wife, likes to pretend that she hates it. Like she actually thinks it's fun, but like she's always like that barrel, and I'm like, yeah, that barrel's never leaving. I don't care how somebody could offer me $30,000, and I'm never selling. And she's like, ugh. I'm like, ah. But
Yeah, yeah. So I was trying to buy that from you for how long? And
I'm not
finally,
gonna.
you're like, "Hey,
I,
dude, hurry up! This guy's got them for sale," and they
right?
sold out like that.
I kind of don't want to sell it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. There's all right. Here's a funny thing. I was going through. Sorry, I was going through archive pictures. Half this shit I can't share. Um, this is the
He's
kind of
saying that
dumb.
he's pretty close to you. That he needs to meet up with you. Whoa,
These are
whoa,
from
whoa!
these are from the Star Wars Holiday Special. This is the X-wing that the Wookiee kid was carving.
Where are those pictures from?
They're from an undisclosed location at Skywalker Ranch.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be like hilarious to roll up with like a replica of this horrific looking piece of shit? Like, that's the kind of thing where that like puts a spring in my step, just because like I don't know, I really think like the weird stuff is really funny.
I'm kind of offended, Jason, because for a Wookiee, you know what I mean? That's pretty cool.
He's very talented for a child. Yeah, a kid Wookiee. Yeah, he's got some mad whittling skills.
Yeah, Robin says that she can't wait for Andor. I agree, Robin. That's going to be
Andor looks pretty and
really
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, I think like everybody, I'm a sucker for anything that's within 5 years of A New Hope. Like,
Yeah.
whether it's on the front end or the back end, anything where you've got classic stormtroopers and the Empire at its peak, like,
Yeah.
like
1000%.
God, like I think it was Rogue One, but like I feel like it's so easy to make me so happy with this kind of stuff. Like I remember hearing the klaxon, like the red alert sound, that like sound in a hangar base somewhere, and just being like, ha ha ha, yay! Like it's just a little bit that like shows that somebody cares enough to put a little callback. And it's also like, I mean, everybody makes fun of like the member berries, it's like it's a cheap, easy way to make everybody like your thing. But I don't know, it works.
Hey, Marcel's asking a question for Jason. Are any specific design influence that informed the vehicle ship design? I can't see that on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any specific design influences that inform the vehicle ship design aesthetic of the original trilogy model builders?
Yeah, he asked me some questions too.
Marcel, yeah, okay. So those original OG guys, like they were like, especially the Van Nuys guys. I mean, like this was like there wasn't any like pressure or like there wasn't any guidebook or any sort of design language that had been built other than the art direction of Joe Johnson and Ralph McQuarrie, which was super duper strong. Don't get me wrong. But what these guys, what these model makers brought to the table, and they were all from sort of different walks of life. Like they were industrial design majors, they were fine artists, they were craftspeople. They all brought their specific sort of picadillos, their own personal interests into it. Yeah. So there was, and this is really interesting too.
Yeah, they weren't even model makers, really.
No, I mean, like in mid to late 75, Grant McCune hires a guy named Jim Malash. And the only reason like that we found out about Malash was I have a copy of a spreadsheet that Richard Edlin had, and it on the left hand side it does project numbers. So project 504, for example, is the X-wing, and it was like literally like this is late 75. This is early ILM. Like they're still. I don't think they haven't completed any shots. They're still building camera equipment. They're still building Death Star tiles. It's early days, and so they're still doing pattern work. And Malash was hired from Detroit. He was from the car design realm. And I think he was hired, I was told, because of his skill with like wood patterning. And he patterned the Y-wing. And it's fascinating because like over the years, you sort of study these models and you look at the X-wing and you're like, okay, this thing was carved out of wood, shit was put on it, the end. The Y-wing does a lot of weird stuff. Like it seems overly complicated for a B-grade sci-fi movie, because let's be honest, like they weren't throwing a lot of time and money. They didn't understand that this was going to be as big as it ended up. So like there was a lot of weird decision making on the Y-wing pattern. And we always sort of looked at it like out of all of these designs, the Y-Wing especially has model kit parts that are cut and sort of assembled. Like it just looked like it took a lot more time. And we just always assumed somebody was having fun, whatever. Turns out Jim Malash was, or Malash, I don't even know how you say it, was from this different sort of pace and was very calm and metered and took too long. And he, like, the original pattern of the Y-Wing was made of like laminated pieces of wood, I think basswood maybe, and just was overly ornate and weird. And apparently McCune fired him before the end of the year. Like, I don't know if he was even at the Christmas party in 75.
Wow.
And Paul Houston took over Y-Wing duties and sort of finished them off. But that sort of explains why that model, that guy brought a certain sort of anal aesthetic to that. I had asked Lauren about the Y-Wing, and he's like, I never liked that model. So he didn't.
Isn't that crazy?
He didn't retain any of the info on it because he thought it was kind of a clunky design, which I love. I was like, yeah, he was just like, nah, it's not for me. I'm more about the X-Wing. I'm like, cool.
Good. You're like, me too. I love that Y-Wing.
The Y-Wing is like a tank. It's like everybody loves the underdog. The Y-Wing's kind of like, they're like, oh, I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I understand.
Really, you root for it. But Paul Houston remembers working on it after Jim was let go or whatever. And like I said, Beasley was really German armor. Lauren said he liked to get to work like before anyone else. Like he would arrive like an hour or half hour earlier than anyone, because he said overnight the model kit donor like shelves would get restocked by the night shift or whatever. And I don't know if this was on Star Wars. This could have been on Empire. It was probably on Star Wars. And so he said, if you get there first, everything's shrink wrapped and you can grab a stack of 5 or 6 of something and know that you have at least 5 parts that match. Because he said sometimes you were like, he would say it was like almost like a meditative mandala. Like you could sit there and like sort of zen, get lost in building something, and he, like make this pattern. Like he said, he loves the back of the Falcon because it was very gratifying to sort of like make everything. And I love that little anecdote, because when you're building something and you're like, I need to buy 5 of this thing, like on eBay, or like,
I know.
You're doing this to me, I hate you, that kind of thing. It's like, because there's only one part, but it's a really great part. Mm-hmm. And if you had 5, and he said like sometimes somebody would come in and be like, oh damn it, because he had already picked through everything.
That's a great story. That's a cool model story.
And I live for those little anecdotes, because it really does inform like the story of how a design came to be, and that helps us on the back end 100 years later trying to figure out, why did you do it the way you did it. Like this thing, this is a Bismarck, and this is in one kit, but there's only one of these and it's cut down in the crocodile, so I had to pillage 2 of my crocodile kits, so like you only need 1 Bismarck, but you need 2 crocodiles, and you're like, come on, man.
Can you imagine how much of that shit went in the trash, dude?
I don't even want to. Yeah,
I know.
Horrific to think about that.
Yeah, I know you appreciate like models more so.
To pull this off with all the kits that are going to go around here and all the kits that went here, it's not a ton that went on the body. Like there's like 5, but you're talking $600 probably when the dust settles.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough that I've been investing in all that stuff for years and years and years, and I have most of them. So I only had to buy like 2 or 3 kits to get to where I am. But somebody entering the studio scale scene, it's brutal. It's because the prices are also crazy now.
Yeah.
And like, I can't imagine that's why, as much as people are like, all these 3D printed kits that are coming out, I'm like, yeah, but for a lot of people that are new, or for people who like don't want to spend $1 million to make this thing, it's a great solution. And
That's cool coming from you, Jason. That's
well,
really
and you
cool.
got to remember too, like not everybody is like super duper insane anal about every detail, and they just want like a nice model to put on their shelf. And if this part is 2 millimeters wider than it should be, like they don't care. I don't care. Why, like why does anybody care? Um, so I mean, like I said, I just uploaded an RPF video that I had talked to Brian, and I had talked to Danny Hallowax about lightsabers and stuff, and we talked about like the accuracy and stuff. And I'm like, you just gotta like, you gotta build it, and it's never going to be perfect, and you have to be okay with that. And at the end of the day, like, just let it go. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And I also I touch base on like I find it fascinating, like with a lot of the concept stuff. I make a concept model and it's different from how somebody else does. Is it MYC that's making the concept snowspeeder?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know actually.
Somebody, God, I feel like such an ass. Somebody's making a concept snowspeeder. Do I have? Hold on.
Man, I'm not sure who that is, but I did hear about that.
Yeah, and it's just I know what they're referencing.
Warbanth bought a mold of one. That was one of my first little project models. Was a little one.
Yeah.
A little.
Speeder. Come on.
Yeah, Scott Berry says Merlin models.
Is it? Oh, it's Merlin. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like a dummy.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Macquarie. Sorry, I'm looking.
We got some model fans on the show tonight, brother.
Cool.
It's a big treat, man, being able to talk models with you, Jason. It's just, man, this is just fun.
Yeah.
Man, I just remember first getting into the model scene and just in the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, it's just, I know it's been, since 2010, 12, a lot of shit was going on with you guys. But man, now it seems like it's getting pretty big,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Yeah. So I made this from the Macquarie photo, and I guess it's Merlin who's making this also. It looks different, and it's so cool and fascinating that I can look at a photo or a drawing and come up with this, and whoever modeled it, I think it's Max Repley, maybe, I don't know. There's like 3 different entities making these things right now, and I get them all confused, and so I very much apologize.
You're good.
Because I'm not buying any of it because I make the stuff myself, but I like to see what's going on just because it's great. But they looked at the drawing and came up with something different, and like that is fascinating to me. So
yeah, that's cool.
So I interpreted this as a second piece, like a different wing, and so my take on it has a sort of not rounded, but a more faceted bottom, and I think theirs is more flat. But because you've only got this one angle, and you've got to sort of like rectify stuff that doesn't happen in the real world, you have to come up with like, okay, well this has to do this, otherwise this whole piece can't anchor to anything. And so it starts just completely changing how you were going to go about making something. And I love the journey.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that is one of my favorite models is a snowspeeder. I love this snowspeeder. One of my favorite ships, that is.
Yeah. And I did the majority of it in 3D. And I built it kind of as a maquette. And I, sort of a proof of concept because I want to make a bigger one at some point. And I just printed it. I literally picked this size because that piece could fit on my printer bed, so, all
that's so cool, man.
It's just nuts. The power of these machines, once you start understanding how to build the stuff, it's nuts. And I love, if you ever take apart any of my models, the parts that you can't see, they look so bad. Like I'm like, why bother to clean any of that interior up? You're never gonna see it, you know. Like that's cool. Yeah, that was fun. That was a really fun model to make. And like this, I painted all these things silver and then did clear green over top of it. And I painted these silver and did clear yellow. So it almost has like it almost looks like it's lit.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, now and like these little decals, that's just
It
non.
looks so lit. It's crazy.
There it is. Yeah. So that's the only reference I had. And there's me mugging for the camera.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So
I know this is a hard question, and we might have asked you before, I mean, a long time ago, but to date, and there's been a lot of new stuff, but do you have one model that you've put together on your own that is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Damn, dude. Thanks for putting me on the spot.
I know. It's hard when people ask me in my collection what's my favorite.
Yeah. Okay.
Or what's my favorite model I have in my collection.
Yeah. So that's kind of like asking me what my favorite song by my favorite band is. It's going to change like from day to day. I'm going to say that latest X-Wing I did is the most gratifying because it's just perfect, man.
You got a problem with those X-Wings, dude. I don't but congratulations on the accuracy.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I met you at Wonderfest. You were all about in that room full of all those people watching Jason up on the podium, and you were talking X-Wings, dude. It was awesome. Do you remember that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I could talk about that for a very long time. All right, so all right. Besides X-Wing, today my answer is going to be the all donor escape pod that I made, only because it's so gonzo ostentatious, like it's like pornographically obscene, like because.
Okay, wait a minute. Of your favorite model ever?
Okay, the escape pod is really, really, really fun to build.
Okay.
If like from original donor parts, it hits all of my sweet spots. You need 4 C labs to build it, right? So right off the bat, I don't know if I might be the only one that's been dumb enough to do that, besides the original. But like building this structure is like pure joy. And it does like, and the paint, like when you get to painting it, it's incredible. Like, and it's all like this was another like kind of proof of concept. Like, can I hand do everything? And yeah, I mean, like, it was super fun.
Is that in somebody else's collection now?
Yeah. A guy swooped in and bought it, and thank you very much. I love that there are little jewels, like faceted fake gemstones.
Did you hate to paint all that or no?
No, I love that part where you take what is probably $5,000 total or whatever, I don't know, $2,000, and just it, because yeah, it's funny. Like, there's a part of you that's like, I don't want to do that because like this proves that it's all real. But then you like it transforms in front of your eye, and when you do that for the first time,
just the primer.
Yeah, just the primer. Probe Droid pods. Do I have those? Maybe I don't have pictures of those. I should.
Yeah, that's cool. That's one thing I don't have is Probe Droid pods.
Oh my god, I feel like everybody's made the Probe Droid pods.
Trust me, I know.
I'm shocked you don't have a Probe Droid pod.
I know.
I feel like like they're just like cordwood, like just stacked everywhere. Probe Droid pods, because it's like the perfect starter kit, or kind of thing. Like if somebody's
like ion cannon.
I made the ion cannon very easy to build.
Yes,
I gotta say.
You very much did, and I know a lot of people that were able to do it.
It's awesome. I mean, like, it's a really simple. Once you figure out all the the geometry. It's just a ball with a stick on it. I mean, it's not. But getting to that point was very hard fought. And the only reason that I sent it out to be multicast was because I never wanted to do that again because it was like so much work. It was like, there's no way. The fleet ship that you have, that was also really, really crazy fun.
Yeah, that's badass. Did you see me holding it at the end of the video?
I did.
Hey, dude, that's about the same scale, dude.
Didn't your I think you smack the transport and it like kind of hits the other model at one point?
No, it didn't.
Yeah. So this, like, as you know, like, it's just so good. Like, this was so fun to do.
Yeah.
And like,
I was more excited after I got the model than before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it's kind of hard. It's hard to convey.
Yeah.
Like once you hold it in your hand, you're like, oh man, this thing's like lots of little jewels. There's a little Akbar sitting in the chair kind of thing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I love that.
I really want to build this dumb thing too, the pontoon ship. There's the crane.
I know what's his name? Robin. He did a background ship too. I know there's a few people, even Chris got one or did one. I love those background ships. It's pretty cool.
Background ships are funky. Yeah, here's a picture from the archives I probably shouldn't be showing, but that's the kind of stuff that shows you. And then there's this weird thing, the background ship that no one's ever quite identified. And so, that's another thing that's like an afternoon build. Guess that's all the pictures. Oh, and I made an Admiral Nita shuttle. That was fun. I totally forgot that I built that. That's in somebody's collection. Yeah, the hospital ship. It's only called that because Seiji Takahashi in Japan named it that. This thing. That's how it still looks. That picture was taken in what year? 2019. So it's just been sitting for years undone. I like almost finished. Like I should just, finish the thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And that's a background ship?
Yeah. So yeah, there's the pods, and then I made an Admiral Nita shuttle. I just made it up, which was kind of fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But these pods they're all complete. There's no resin. It's all donor parts.
Badass.
Which is pretty nuts.
You don't have those anymore, do you?
No, I think Dave Adami bought them, if I recall correctly. I can't quite remember. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I want to build another.
We're having a good time, dude, talking models.
That
looks familiar.
Yeah. That was super fun. I like making the weird stuff where you can kind of play a little bit.
That looks like a can. When I look at that, the crane.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. So this is an unpublished photo of Darth Vader's TIE fighter that I guess Joe Johnson did. And I received a copy of it, and it's like faded, right? And so, it's magenta-y. So one year for Christmas, I designed it, I 3D printed it, I made like 8, 9, 10, I made about a dozen of them, apparently, and painted them to look like the old picture, and everybody got one for like a ornament. It was an ornament.
That's
for your
really
tree.
Cool, dude.
So you can see like the little, you put the little hook on it or whatever. So
that's so cool, man.
Yeah, I like making fun stuff for friends. But like that's a design no one's ever seen, which is nuts to me. That's possible still. That there's like a variant on Darth Vader's TIE fighter that's unknown. Like still, really? Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
What's someone to say the name of Jason Eaton's art book? That's in someone's collection. Yeah. Jason's talked about this, Armando, on past shows, which I'm sure you watched, and it's one thing, with building them, but I'm sure you just can't get too attached, right? It's just once you get them built, then it's
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about the build. It's not
yeah,
about the holding on the dust. I say I'd
yeah.
rather build than dust.
You know what? And Jim's that way with the frigate.
Yeah. Did I show you this? I commissioned a 3D guy to sculpt Lauren Peterson's head from 1976, and then paid my friend Rick Cantu to paint to paint him up. And I put him on a Gentle Giant bust and sent it to Lauren, who said, like, he didn't know he was getting it. I was just like, "Are you going to be home?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "All right, I'm sending you something." And he was just like, "Never in a million years would I have thought that like I was going to get a little me in the mail." And it's
That's
just like
so
one of
cool.
those things, like, I don't know, that's how I emotionally responded to the pandemic. I was just like, I need to spread joy. Like,
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I
I
remember
did.
you asking me about the size of that Gentle Giant, but it's pretty big.
It
That
is.
bust is actually pretty damn big. It's
Yeah, I
like you know
actually,
what? It's like a 6 scale.
it
It's a
is. And
it's
it's
a
funny.
6
I,
scale.
I have a smaller version of his head sitting here that I
That's kind
printed
of weird, dude.
that I thought was big enough. And I was just like, shit, I need to go bigger.
Stalker. Hey, Lauren, I got your picture.
I
I
know,
got your
right?
head on
I
3D
was like, I'm
sculpture.
going to make 1,000 Lauren heads. And he was like, great. I'm going to change my number. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I
That's
make a lot of weird crap lately. The 3D has sort of unchained me, and now I'm making like the parole sign from my childhood, from the like strip mall from the '60s that we went to in the '70s when it was starting to fall apart. Like,
oh man,
that's silly.
that's cool though, and I love those heads because they're like the real images of the actors that were in the movie. It's pretty cool you did those.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
here's something that I don't think I've ever shown. I don't know. I guess the statute of limitations is
eye candy.
up. I don't know. Watch me violate an NDA from 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But I did a bunch of video game builds. I don't even know what this is from. It's like from some video racing game. But like, I made a bunch of this stuff. Oh, it's funny. Here's the other thing saucer that I'm working on. I have the others from the very beginning of the movie. But this is like a non-Star Wars model that was really fun to build. I think this was for Sony PlayStation or something.
Did you get a sketch of it, and how did that work?
No, this was before I had any 3D
Ah,
uh, printers or anything. That was printed. That was probably printed on an objet for that like cost like 40 grand, and it probably cost them like $500 to print it or something insane.
gotcha.
That was like ages ago. Like that was like a decade ago. But it was that kind of thing is really fun.
So
Oh,
this ship that you did for ILM, that the model that you did for ILM,
uh-huh. Yeah,
where's it sitting right now? Do you know?
it's in the Presidio,
I was going to ask.
right?
I wonder. Yeah, I figured it was at the Presidio. That's what I thought. I
Yeah,
figured it was there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's crazy.
that's a. Have you been over to the Presidio?
It's gorgeous.
It is,
Yeah,
man.
even just driving in, you're like all your stress and carries melt away. Carries
Dude,
melt away.
it is that way. It does have
Just
that
like the
feeling.
trees, and you're just like, oh my god, this is
I know it's so green and
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. It's
It's like
pretty
a college campus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody asked if I'd done alien stuff. I did some paint masters for Hollywood collectibles group back in the day, and they had like a dead alien carcass, and they wanted the blood to be like neon green. And I was like, okay, you're the boss. A little odd, but I was proud of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's badass.
But it was kind of fun to do, like a dead alien. But I did also do the quarter scale power loader, and that was pretty great.
That's just badass.
Yeah, and that's there's me for scale.
Holy
Fighting
shit!
Yeah, it's
Dude, I
quarter.
would love to have that piece.
They sold it. But yeah, I had castings of it. Hollywood Collectibles Group is one of those places that's like, we'll pay you in like model kit parts, and you're like, all right, like I only do stuff for cash now.
Right. Exactly.
I can't like, oh, here's okay, this is fun.
So I know you've done stuff. Obviously, we've talked in the past the work that you've done for some other companies like Sideshow and whatnot. Have you
Yeah.
you get to? Are they still involved? Are they outsourcing anymore, or it just depends on what it is?
Lately I think Sideshow is more
Commercial,
internal.
they're buying like other people's shit. Seems like right.
I think a lot of their paint went in house. They asked me to do a couple things last year, and I had to decline only because the deadlines are always crazy. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I just was just like, I can't guarantee it because my hands are fucked up, and
yeah,
I can't like drop everything. It was always right before Wonderfest because they needed it for Comic-Con. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
the timing every year was always kind of stressful. And I'd love to do more work for them, but I don't know if those days are gone now. But I was just like, I can't do it in a week because I have my 9 to 5, and I can't grind it like I used to because it would kill my hands. And they were like, thank you for being honest. And I'm like, I'm really sorry. And then they
Yeah.
just stopped asking. So
I
I don't know.
understand.
That's fine. Um, I did. I don't know if anybody's going to care at all about this, but when the pandemic started and we were all like trapped in our houses, I started making little robots out of just extra crap. And see if I can forward. Oh, and so I just made these little like buddies out of kit parts,
Oh,
uh,
that's funny.
and started deciding on who gets what. Uh, everybody got one. Um,
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
Was that the painted one or something, or
but what now?
that? I looked like I saw one painted, or I didn't know what that dark
Oh yeah,
picture was.
I spent a lot of time on these because we were just at home and there was just like
Yeah,
nothing going on, and so I just sort of threw myself into these. I really like this guy because he looks like an old west barber. Like he's got like the comb and the hair dryer, but then he's got like the old timey hair flip hair,
very cool.
and that was like completely
Motorcycle gas tank.
unintentional. Yeah, and but you can kind of see like, and there's the Savannah gas mine in the background. You can kind of see how like it's just fun to glue stuff down sometimes without having to like think about like, oh, that looks familiar. Probably your Cantwell Sandcrawler in
Yeah,
the background there.
yeah, that's awesome. I
Um,
love that piece.
yeah, I just started like trying to make them come to life. Um, I think I've got fit. I must have taken a million pictures. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I started painting them and weathering them, and I gotta say this was like one of the most fun things I had done.
Oh, those are really cool.
Yeah, little. I think I called them the coronavirus buddies or something. And like no lights. These are just. I got these in Japan years ago. They're just little stick-on jewels that look like, they're lit. Like I guess for like Gundam or something.
I
But
bet your bins are. You got some cool shit in those things.
yeah, like this. I sent this to my friend AJ because he's a painter. It looks like this robot contemplating. Yeah, coronavirus 2020 robot buddy. But he's
That's
like
badass,
he's
dude.
holding a brush. Like this I called Raft Head. This went to my friend Chris. It's funny. Like some people like when I was making it, I was like, this reminds me of this guy or whatever.
That's amazing, dude.
Thanks. This
It's
went
crazy
to
how they turned out. I mean, it's just crazy.
yeah. I mean, I think I made like 10 of them. I meant to make more, and I just didn't get around to it. But like, some of these parts are like straight up donors for models. Like,
Yeah,
they're
I've
like,
noticed a lot of them.
yeah, like a couple people like that one. That might be my favorite one. Like, I just love how
You do like that one, huh?
yeah, it's just goofy. But like, he came out really well. And I'm making this and I'm just having fun, but it's also good practice for weathering and like just different colors. Like
Right.
I get to have fun and like use bright colors that I normally don't get to use. Like this is off of a Millennium Falcon, like decal sheet or whatever. That one was really fun too, and it's like a transmission, So
Dude, that is so freaking cool, man.
just anything to exercise the muscle, the creative,
Right. No kidding, man. That out of people that are getting into model building, that'd be a fun little thing to do,
I
Learn some
highly
more.
recommend just occasionally grabbing stuff and gluing it down and see if you can like make it like good.
Speaking of robots, I got these beautiful little pieces that you put together. We're putting together the all the droids, and
Yeah, I have that one I need to send you. It's almost done.
yeah.
And
That one's
I should finish him. I'll try to finish him tomorrow.
sounds good to me. Can you show it?
Do I? I don't think I have any pictures of that on this machine, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic, Mark. I enjoyed. I mean, I'm the easy guy. I love building the bases, the little sand bases, and
the bases you made are pretty great.
thank
I
you,
think.
man. Appreciate them.
And it ties them all together too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many we have to go? Like 4?
Okay, so I just finished the umbrella droid, Septoid, the one with the 8 arms.
Yep.
And then
CZ3.
CZ3, R1, and that weird purple R1. So I think there's only 3 from Tatooine that are left.
What's that big one that the Jawas are like bringing it down?
Yeah, that's R1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's bad.
And there's a purple cousin of a sort to him.
It's weird they got those fluorescent colors and stuff on it in the movie.
Yeah, that model, that design is from I think it's a Chris Foss painting. It's from like a paperback novel, like a sci-fi novel.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that is cool.
Yeah.
Very cool, brother, man.
Yeah.
Man, time's flying, dude.
I was just gonna say, I'm starting to get really tired, and I'm like, oh, it's almost midnight, and I usually go to bed at 10, so that makes sense.
So check it out, Jason. Last night, I don't know if everybody, because this, I guess it was Thursday or Friday, but the release of season 5 Cobra Kai, and holy crap, dude! I watched at 5:00 yesterday. I sat down, had a sandwich, and I went to bed at 2:00. I watched all 10 episodes.
Oh, dude, that's intense.
Yeah, Denise was like, "All right, I'm going to bed." It was at 10:00, and then it ends, and then the stream starts coming. Like,
and you're like,
watch one more. Yeah, I'll watch one more, and then oh shit, okay, I'll watch one more.
You know what? I turned off auto play on all of my streaming services because I would do that.
Yeah,
that's like, what's one more episode of Guy's Grocery Games? God.
Yeah,
I gotta rein it in.
Yeah.
So
if I stop to watch it. Hey, good, thank you, man. I hate to tell you, but Daniel LaRusso dies. I can't believe it.
What?
He can die. No, I'm just kidding.
I was just saying, I haven't seen any of them. Come on.
But hey, I will say though, honestly, the last episode is. Have you watched them all, Jason, or no?
I haven't seen a single one.
Okay.
I don't even know what it's on. What's
okay?
Is that
wait.
One that's on YouTube?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, you haven't watched any Cobra Kai?
No.
All right, dude. Have you watched Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you think about Stranger Things?
I loved Stranger Things. I could not really get into the latest season, and I don't know whether that's just me or whether it's just going too far. I'm just like,
I understand. It's like at the beginning, they got the first story down, and it was good, and it ends, and leave it at that kind of thing.
People love it, and I'm just like, okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't begrudge anybody loving it. We watched it and we had a good time, but I didn't connect to this latest season the way I did to the first season. Holy
Yeah,
crap! The first season of Stranger Things, I was just like, everybody, shut up! It's on. Like that kind of.
yeah, I know. So, do you watch stuff like Yellowstone or anything like that?
Haven't seen that.
Oh my gosh, that's badass, dude.
We
Yellowstone is really good.
is it like a drama kind of thing?
Yeah, it's got a lot of shit going on. It's up in the mountains, beautiful mountain, Montana mountains, or
Cool.
somewhere up there.
I'm gonna get more water. Can you hold on a second?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, hold on.
We're good. Yeah, guys. Hey, Solo Fed, are you talking about season 6 for Cobra Kai? I'm assuming, and if they do, even though you kind of maybe want more, it'll probably be shitty, dude. I mean, they should just kind of end it if they did. But I almost gave away the something, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they will or not. But 86. You know what? I haven't watched 1886. I haven't watched that one, but I can't wait for the new Yellowstone to come out. I really dig all that shit. It's really cool. So, but hey, what a treat having Jason on tonight and talking models, and you guys are so respectful. Let's see, what does that say? Yeah, that is good time. So, but yeah, so Gabe's over there geeking out at D23. I've talked to him a few times, and he's just in his little happy place right now, But sending me pictures of him and Mickey Mouse. Oh boy. So,
all right, mission accomplished. I got my water.
Good deal, man.
I invested in a ice maker, like the $100 Amazon special. We have a fridge with an ice machine in it, but we never bothered to get it plumbed.
Yeah.
With I didn't feel like drilling a hole in the floor. And so we'd just been buying bags of ice, and then one day I was like, bags of ice are $4 each. This is getting insane because I've been drinking so much water lately in my old age, and I really like it, like a big, glass with ice. And so I had been looking at ice machines, and there's like a $600 one from GE, and I'm like, I don't even have the counter space for it. Like, I could justify spending $600 on an ice machine. Don't get me wrong. I could justify insane shit. But like even that, I was just like, I don't have room for it. And there's this really small one. It was like $150. And then Amazon Prime Day came around and they were like $99. And I was like, powerless to resist. And so I bought one. And I gotta say, kind of a game changer. For 2 people, that thing will drown you in ice. Like, yeah. It is a beast. And even if it only lasts, I did the math, I was like, if it lasts 5.5 months, it's paid for itself. Like,
so it's a separate thing because my ice.
It's like 12 inches by like 9 inches or 12 by 9 by like 14. It's small, and you fill it with filtered water. Like I have a water filter. I have a separate tap that's just like drinkable water. And it just makes ice. It's not incredible ice. Like it melts a little faster because it's like kind of aerated. But hot tip, if you take the basket of the ice that it's just made and you stick it in a Ziploc bag and you stick it in the fridge, it sort of solidifies even more. So I grabbed the ice from the fridge from the day before, and it doesn't melt as fast.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is kind of a just if you don't want to answer this, I'm just Solo Fet's asking, what do you think about the 39-inch Slave One Merlin models is making?
I am very, 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 very curious as to why it's that size.
Yeah.
Guy has been studying that model. That is his baby. I have no doubt it is accurate to hell and back. But I think it's oversized. Pretty sure. I had asked Eaton, Merlin guy, like, dude, how big is this thing? And he just was kind of like, like, I think it's bigger than the studio scale, which is fine. Yeah. That was their decision. And I wonder if it's like sort of a concession to not cannibalize all the hard work that guy did making his studio scale run. Also completely understandable. Yeah. The Slave One, it's funny. The slave one caused so much drama back in the day. We're talking
I know it blows
10
my
years ago. I
freaking
mean, like
mind.
part of the slave one, part of the reason Guy and Lee like hate my ass was wrapped up in that whole slave one thing. I
You're not the only one
I
that
long ago
hated.
stopped caring. It's like I
Yeah,
just want everybody to get along. What the fuck?
I
But
understand. I understand.
I nothing but respect for the amount of time, effort, and money that has been spent with by those guys, by Guy, making that thing. And I love that model. I have spent probably I did add it up one time. I probably personally have spent 3 or 4 grand to get to where I am. And I have like no weird. It's weird. I have vacuum form parts. I could build. I could build the thing if I stopped everything and sort of knuckled down, and I've got like all the machinist stuff ready to go. It's not machined yet, but I could like approach a machinist and have the stuff made. I just never did because it's like I don't know. It's like a second tier model for me. I try to be. I five. This is such a weird tangent, but 5 years ago, my grandmother passed away, and I did the majority of the work in sort of like taking care of the estate. And she was kind of turned out to be a secret hoarder, and it was just this eye opener where I was like, I'm not gonna be this person,
Yeah.
and like I gotta get rid of shit. And I sold so many model kits and things and stuff, and just started purging and purging and purging. And it also, as a side effect, made me reassess what I was interested in really sinking time and money and effort into. And the slave one kind of got a little side or backburnered. It's not dead, but I've got like bigger personal fish to fry. Like I'm still a new hope in it. Like you were teasing me about the X-wing, and rightly so. Like because I
Yeah, don't bullshit me about the X-Men.
talk about that damn thing forever. Yeah, but like I'm sent like original parts, and I'm sent a casting of Red 5. Like, like
I understand.
you have to like rise to that challenge or occasion or whatever. And like, so the X-wing, the Y-wing, the TIE fighter, and the Y-wing, like I don't know if I can talk about it publicly, but Y-wing parts landed in my hands. Let's just say, maybe wooden master pattern. I don't know, maybe. So the Y-wing, I can nail. Like I'm redrawing it in the base in 3D. We've got all the I've had all the donors forever. So when I make a Y-wing, it's going to be tits. It's going to be amazing. And TIE fighter, similar situation. ILM guys like, hey, I have a casting from the original mold. Do you want to like borrow that and scan it? And I was like, please and thank you.
Dude, that is so what an honor, man.
Nuts. So like those things hit my plate, and I'm like, yeah, Slave One can chill again. I feel bad because like I've got all the expensive stuff ready to go for it. I've got the Porsche kit and all that crap. All that long-winded shit being said, the fact that somebody like Merlin Models is going to offer a turnkey solution where you just give them a couple grand or however much he's asking for, and you get this thing that's like a joy to build, and none of the fretting and sorrow of trying to get all those parts to fit that punch bowl underneath. It's gold.
Well said. Well said.
But that being said, I'm dying to know why it's like this weird 39-inch, whatever size.
Yeah, because this bitch is big, anyways. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the thing's bonkers enormous. I've seen multiple ones that Mike has built. Did Mike do that one for you?
Yes.
In my opinion, Mike Salzo is like the only dude out there that can make that kit to the level that it needs to be done. And I say that because he's done it like 3 or 4 times, and he just knows. Like I think anybody else would probably. I think I would struggle, and hand damage aside, it's a widow maker of a.
Man, when I first saw this thing at the convention at the EFX booth, I I was like, holy shit, this fucker's huge.
Yeah.
I did not realize the scale of it. I'd seen photos, but when I saw it in person, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I just was asked a question. Do I make pizza?
hey, let me tell you guys something that's funny. Armando's on our show every week, and I'll tell you what, Armando, this guy has a garden in his backyard that is beautiful. When I say garden, a vegetable garden, and he's got all these beautiful. Hey, and by the way, Jason, we have had so much rain here, dude. All my peppers are coming through, my tomatoes,
Hell
my
yeah.
tomatoes. Yeah, they're so. That's
Okay.
funny that he's asking. He must know
Funny he's
already.
asking that. Hold on. Let me see if I can share this. Yeah, let's talk about shit that actually matters, like food. Yes, I make pizza. So again, during the pandemic, okay, this is funny too. This was my bourbon glass. It's the ILM episode. Was that 9? Whatever that 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, episode 9 crash. Death Star like crew glass that somebody sent me. So yeah, I got something called a kettle pizza, and it's like $300 or $400, and it's essentially like a 22-inch Weber kettle. If you imagine taking the lid and lifting it, and there's this steel like tube with a pizza hole in it that sits there, and it turns your Weber kettle into a pizza oven. And there's this big steel plate over top that acts as a heat dome. And I burn wood in the bottom of it, and I got that thing up to like 900 degrees, and I made my pizza in like 45 seconds with the sort of they call like that Dalmatian spotting on the bottom. So anyway, so this might have been a test. My first like 2 or 3 pizzas were kind of janky, and then I got like into the flow of it. So there's it cooking on the stone inside of my green Weber kettle, and that's what it looked like when it came out. And yeah, not too shabby. And yeah, I make my own sauce. Like I'd make pizza casserole a lot of times for my wife because she really likes that. So like I make the pizza sauce with like fennel, and then I dice chicken, and I mix it all together, and then I bake it.
Holy shit, that looks so good.
It's so good. We freeze half of it. Like that's enough for like 30 people. That was a pretty good pizza. I can't make them round. They always end up like heart-shaped or shaped like an amoeba. Those are apparently my shoes. Like I can't I made stuffed pepper pizza one time. I'm off the
Armando knows. It's funny because all of our viewers, all of our buddies that watch us, every Saturday night, man, when we start talking food, holy shit.
Yeah.
So speaking of pizza,
this is in France. This is in Paris, France. It is a pizza ATM. You walk up like an ATM, and a pizza comes out. It is fucked up.
Hey, Jason, if I share a picture with you, can you upload it or put it on there?
I believe so. Yeah.
Or okay, let me see if I can send this to you real quick.
These are my. All I did was type in pizza on Facebook, and then like all my pizza crap came up. But yeah, I love making pizza. In fact, I have little God, I forgot that we have those skillets. I don't
see what you've done, Armando.
I don't know why that showed up. I guess because she has a pizza face. What is that? Oh, this was when I visit Sean Sides in Denver. They have this pizza with actual like full-size meatballs, and when you order it by the pound.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's insane.
Okay, so I want to tell the viewers. So we discussed last week, and we showed this awesome logo that you sent me, Jason.
Oh yeah.
And our friend Brian.
How are you sending it to me?
I just sent it. I texted it to you. I'm sorry.
Okay. I don't think I can get my text on this.
Can you not do it? How can I do it?
Facebook message.
Oh, I can't do that.
Okay. All right. I can hold my.
Do that.
All right, let's go high tech. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I want y'all to look at that.
Dark side.
That is going to be. There you go.
There it is.
There it is. You see the glow in the back? Okay, guys. So that was originally designed by Mr. Jason Eaton himself. So I've got Joseph that came up with the name, Jason that came up with this design, and then our friend, Brian, he took the time on a Sunday to put this light, and he worked on it overnight and sent it to me Sunday, and then I sent that to you, Jason, and voila. Now I just got to show you the reality of this bad boy, and hopefully that's going to commence very soon, starting Monday, actually. So I'm really excited.
Did you get the permits taken care of?
Don't.
I was
either Monday or Tuesday, but let me just put it this way: the workers will be working. Find me, I don't give a shit. We're like one 2 days away.
Texas, right?
My guys, my framers that are the formers that are doing the concrete. Mm-hmm. They're going to Mexico the following week, so I'm going to get them started.
So get off the pot time. I hear
things that got to get done, man. But I love the logo, Jason. It's really cool.
It's so funny. You showed me that logo, and I'm on the couch, and I'm like probably 2 bourbons in to the evening or whatever. It's just like
it was just the font, right?
Yeah, it was just the font, and it was just like immediately in my head, I'm like, a piece of pizza looks like a Star Destroyer, and you're calling it. I was like, why not have riff on the Star Destroyer logo, dude? And so I did that little quick thing, and you were just like, wait, what? And I was just like, yeah,
I know. Like,
ha, ha, ha. And then 2 days later, you're like, this is what we're doing. And you had architectural mock-ups.
Yeah, it's going to be exactly what it's going to be.
I was like, oh my God, you do not.
Yeah, I would show those architectural mock-ups of the design of the building, but I want to surprise everybody when it's actually being done. So
yeah, I hear
but
that.
I will tell you guys, and Jason will tell you, it's badass.
And you said free pizza for life because I did that?
That's exactly what I said.
I just have to get my ass to Texas.
That's it. But hey, dude, you know what? Speaking of it, when you come down here, I know you got your brother in Houston, right?
Yeah. Well, the Woodlands, it's 30 minutes north, but yeah.
Okay. But you know who's not even 20 minutes away from me is Cantu.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So cool. He can, when you come down here and we're at the pizza shop, Cantu can join us.
Wow. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. You don't remember that? Do you remember me telling you that?
I don't know. I had asked you where you lived and you told me, and then it was whoop,
yeah, we met it was weird because we met on the plane going to Wonderfest.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And he ended up living 15 minutes down the road, and he was showing me all the stuff. He's done some stuff for Sideshow, I believe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's a painting son of a gun too.
Yeah. He did my Lorne head.
Yeah. Oh, did he? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He's have input on this.
He's good times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun.
Do I have anything else fun to show? I'm sure I do, but I don't know. Are there any? Will Jason have some input on some of the dishes? I'm not even gonna try to muscle in on your pizzas.
Yeah, that's these guys and their food, right?
I am gonna see Mike in about 2 weeks or so.
So I was wondering, when you go on your vacation, is this that one that you normally take, or is this like a property?
Yeah, we're driving up to Maine, and on the way up, we're stopping in Rhode Island to visit my friend Chris, and Kate and Mike. So we're just visiting friends. It's just
the same time last year kind of thing.
Roughly, yeah.
That's not when I picked up the Star Destroyer. I missed you by a couple of weeks.
Yeah. And then we, in the morning, drive up the rest of the way to Maine and hang out for 5 days and visit friends and, just do our thing. And then on the way back, last year we broke it up and we visited Mike on the way up. And then on the way back, I was like, we'll just do a straight shot. And it took 15 hours because it was Friday and we hit New York at 3 p.m. rush hour. And it was just a nightmare. So this year, when we're driving back, we're going to break it up into 2 days and see Mike. We'll stop in Connecticut on the way down, which is great because not only do we get to see Mike, but we will be able to drive 5 hours and then time it the next day and miss morning and afternoon rush hours. So
y'all going to go get pizza?
Hell yeah. I say all of that because we're going to totally go to Pepe's. So
yeah, when me and Mike were at Pepe's, it was late at night, dude. I was leaving right after dinner. I took him over there. We had dinner.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, man, that night at 2 or 3 in the morning when I finally stopped, I ate the rest of my pizza. I got my own, you know what I mean? And I was telling Mike then about that was before I was like, I want to open up a pizza restaurant. You know what I mean? And then,
eating pizza there makes you want to open a pizza joint. I totally get it because you're like, I've never had pizza before until now. Like everything else has been bullshit. Yeah. So, and then last year we had gone to, we had spent a week in New Haven, like the gentleman's retreat, like we Airbnb'd, and we're doing that again in October. So not only am I going to see Mike for a day next, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to see him in October again. And I'm just, again, it's like, we're going to totally do Pepe's. Ed's going to come down. He's going to bring bagels from Jersey or New York. It's like, it's like all the food.
Is that your Kinner buddy going to be there?
Who now?
Your Kinner buddy?
Yeah. Chris is going to show up.
That's cool.
Yeah, he lives in Rhode Island, or near enough, because that's where.
Is he still at Kinner or
Hasbro? Yeah.
Is he working in the Star Wars division?
Yeah. He's pretty high up in it, actually.
Yeah,
but the pizza. I remember when we were all hanging out last year, we got a pepperoni and we got I want to say a ham. And the pepperoni was like really salty, and the ham was really sweet.
Remember they have the bacon? It's the bacon.
Or maybe it's the bacon. Yeah, okay.
It's bacon because they don't have ham, but they have bacon.
Yeah, it was bacon. And so I remember taking a bite of each, like, one after another, because I'd taken one piece of each, and then thinking like, this needs to go together. So you've got like the salty, the sweet, the savory.
Yeah.
Like it hits it all. So the next day we ordered one with pepperoni and bacon, and it was just like I was like, I cracked the code.
That's what I got. That's exactly what I got too.
That's
because they don't have Canadian bacon, but they have bacon. But their bacon was in like slices. So the difference between theirs is coal, and we're gonna do wood fired.
Yeah.
So
what I have in the backyard is the wood, and it just that smoky char.
Let me tell you, I want people to know that I'm not just some guy that can just go and do whatever. I'm investing a lot of money in this restaurant.
You're gonna go full, what they call full Eaton. My friends give me so much shit for that. They're like, you go full Eaton on everything, and I'm like, well.
Hey, what I'm getting at, of course, look, let's not lie. I enjoy what the build, right? I love the build, and I love what the theme's going to be.
Absolutely get that.
Fucking badass. Yeah. But the thing is, though, is number one is the quality of the food, dude. I mean, it's going to be good, and I know because look, Peps, I've been there, Peeps, but I've been there, I've tasted it.
Am I saying it wrong?
No, it's Peeps.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know it's a Pete's. It's not a pizza. Yeah, I know that.
I don't know. But anyways, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
So, but the recipes that we're bringing into this restaurant of mine, it's very similar flavor taste to that. I swear.
That's awesome.
And the guy that got the recipes, that's 2.5 hours from me, is very successful. In the last 8 months he's been open. You go there on a Friday night, and there's people, I swear to you, outside waiting to get in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm really excited about the recipes, but of course I'm excited to start setting up like a life-size Bruce Jaws shit in there. You know what I mean?
I love it. The dedication.
And hey, I don't know if I told you, I did go to DeLorean and I picked up all the DeLorean parts.
Jesus, man. That's rad.
Yeah. So now we just got to work on it's at my metal fabricator, Brandon, and he's starting to build the inner cage. I dropped it off to him last week, so he's had it for a week. So hopefully, because he's a busy guy, we'll get the DeLorean rear end built, and then we'll start doing the replica shit on it. But it's going to be different in a really cool way. I can't wait for people to see it.
Nice. There's a couple of questions. Top Chef just released a pizza series on Netflix. Yes, we just watched the 3rd episode this evening, and very much enjoying it. And then, where is the cat? We have 2 cats, and they are both probably sleeping on the bed upstairs. But once they hear me get up, they'll run down and expect like 5th dinner or whatever. When I got up to get the water, Gordon apparated, it like just appeared in the kitchen.
Are they allowed in the model shop?
Oh yeah, it's weird. Like neither of them have ever messed with any of the stuff, which would be a nightmare for me because I don't like put anything away. So it is a field day for a cat, but neither of them give a shit about wires or little parts, or I don't know, it's weird. But our house was built in 1925. The kitchen is somehow in the goddamn middle of the house, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4. There are there's 5 doors. The 5th one is the pantry, but like there's no counter space. And one of the doors goes to the basement, front room, side, back. So you kind of have to go through the kitchen to get anywhere. And the second I step foot into the kitchen, and it's been this way since we had that shutdown 2 years ago, it's almost like Indiana Jones in a temple. Like I touch it and it apparently activates something, and Gordon just shows up and he starts screaming for food. Doesn't matter the time of day. And it's like, I'm just walking through, dude, and it's 2 p.m. and you were just fed like an hour ago. Like he is insane. My hat's off to him because like he knows what he wants and he gets it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Jason.
No.
Our buddy Lee, he's got this cat, and it's tearing up all his shit. His $2,000 couch. It's just, I'll be talking to him, and all of a sudden he'll start screaming. But we got Denise's for Denise's birthday a while back, but we had to wait for the kittens and all that stuff. But we just got, do you know what a Maine Coon is?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah. So we got a Maine Coon that's been in the family now. His name's Rocky, and we've had him for.
Is he huge?
He's a kitten still, but
oh yeah,
his dad's like stands up at my waist. So yeah. I mean, they're like they can get the size easily of a bobcat. They're huge.
Maine Coons are not small cats.
No, but they're very good
too. They're like wizards on a hill, like with their long fur.
Since we're talking about animals, this is awful, guys. But I got woken up Friday morning. My wife comes in crying after taking Haley to school, and we live out in the hill country. And every morning driving, into town to school, there's always little critters running all over the place.
Yeah.
And she accidentally it was panicked, but it was a raccoon, and it was a mother raccoon, and she was and her baby was following her.
Ugh.
And yeah, so the mother was like panicking, and Denise swerved because she didn't want to hit the baby, but the mother got hit.
Yeah.
And it's sad, went off to the road. But when Denise came back, the baby raccoon was just sitting on their mom that had already lost her. So we now have a new member of the family, a raccoon.
Really?
Yeah, and it's in a cage, and we're being very respectful about it. He's about 3.5 months old.
Do you have a shelter or rescue thing that you can take it to?
They do have those, but I've been out there before, and it's kind of a shithole. So we live on 25 acres, and there's 1,000-acre ranches around us. So what I was going to do, I'm keeping my distance from it, but it'll growl at me, and I put my leather gloves on when I went to get it. But he like, and then I'll hold a banana, and then he'll just.
They'll be like, all right.
He'll eat it right out of my hand, Yeah. So he's, he just lost his mom. He's in shock, and he's an animal, but I'm gonna try to keep the human side away where he's still wild, because I've heard of the stories of them. Yeah, because I've heard of the stories that they get attached, and I've heard that they make good pets, but I also hear like after a while, then they start to be a nuisance because it's not like you can train them like a dog.
Yeah.
So and it's just not humane. I don't want to do that to a wild animal.
So you just want to get it on its feet and then let it go.
I just want to get it on its feet, and then me and Haley will go let them. They're nocturnal, so they like to be out at night. So I'll go let it go in the back at nighttime and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's my week story of
Yeah, we've had a fox in our backyard lately, and so I live in Baltimore, Maryland, which is like nobody move to Baltimore. Like I beseech you, stay away. It's awful. But I kept seeing this fox on our like backyard cameras at like 2, 3, 4 in the morning or whatever. And so I took a couple apples and cut them up and a couple other things, and put it out where he seemed to have like a circuit he was doing, or she. So I put it out and woke up this is a couple weeks ago. Woke up the next morning and had the alert, like, oh, your camera saw movement. I was like, oh, cool, the fox. Nah, it was a rat. So I was like, God damn it, I'm feeding a fucking rat. Like, it totally makes sense. Because, we have, rats because it's Baltimore. So I like to think maybe I fattened up a rat that the fox then ate. So just trying to feed a fox and end up feeding the vermin.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. What are you going to do? I tried.
It's a thought, It's a thought that went into it.
What are you going to do? Yeah, which is really funny because my mother, she's an old hippie, and she only lives about 10 minutes away now. She used to live 45 minutes south, and we moved her up in 2019. And so she's gotten used to her house, and it's a little more city, even though she's got like a nice private area. But she's like some sort of weird hippie animal whisperer. Like, she has this bird that she nicknamed Ladybird, and I try to have lunch with her as much as possible, and we were sitting there having lunch, and she's like, "Oh, Ladybird's here." We walk out onto the back porch, and this bird comes flying out of nowhere and sits on the chair next to her chair, and she puts some bird seed down, and the bird starts eating it, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really? Like, you're friends with the bird now? Like, is this my new dad? Like, what's going on? Like,
That's hilarious.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah," and we have Mr. Bunny, and she's got like these names for all these guys, and she's standing in the yard. I actually have pictures on Facebook of this. She's standing in the yard, and she holds out this food, and this bunny, like, I've never seen a rat. We have tons of rabbits. There's a warren somewhere in my yard, I think, because like every once in a while you'll go out in the backyard, and there's like 2 big rabbits and like 6 baby rabbits. And you know how they all like sit there and they just kind of look at you, like, sideways, and they're just like looking at you, and you're like, all right, that's cool. They're like, what? And this rabbit appears like almost out of nowhere and comes towards her, like launches itself towards her, and she feeds it. And I'm like, oh, wow, weird. Are you like, you've got new kids? Let me see if I can.
Yeah, my mom was really into. She started getting a lot of cats coming around her house. I'm like, Mom, you're turning into a cat lady. You never knew that you'd do that, but yes, she did.
Yeah. I know people that have never had pets, and I always feel really sorry for them.
Yeah, that's not for everybody. Some people like cats. I've got dogs, cats, shit. Yeah. They keep the snakes away, except finding one in my house the other day wasn't good.
Well, that's good. Keeping the snakes away is always a good.
Yeah, but you didn't hear the part I said that there was a snake that was in my house. Did I tell you about that, Jason?
No.
Yeah. And it went up into the wall inside the house, my barn house.
No, thank you.
Yeah, talk about not being able to sleep.
All right.
Is that your mama?
Yeah, here's my mom. Hold on. Let's see if I can. Yes, there's my mom, and there's the rabbit.
Holy cow.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, Jan." Like, what the fuck? Like, crazy. That's crazy.
So cool, though, man.
So, yeah, I mean,
what's the lady? Is that the lady that introduced you into Star Wars?
Yeah, actually, like,
that sponsored.
I was 4 years old in '77, right, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I remember going to my grandparents' house because my parents were going to see a movie. I remember that only because I got a toy, and it's like a vague, abstract memory. And apparently that was Star Wars, because we never really had money to go see movies or whatever. But the next year, when I was 5, we saw the re-release, and I vividly remember seeing it at this rinky-dink theater on State Circle in Annapolis, Maryland, and I remember thinking the stormtroopers might be robots. Like, I wasn't quite sure what was going on because I was only 5, but I very much remember being taken to the toy store afterwards, and my mom said, "You can get 4 figures and the land speeder." Like,
that's so cool.
And
you have great photos. I love your childhood.
Yeah, a very fortunate childhood. And I picked Luke and Ben and the droids, because that's what was in the land speeder. And I'd like to think that was like the kernel of like anal retentive accuracy, like being sewn, because I didn't get Leia or Vader. I was just like, no, I need who's in the speeder, like
Yeah, I gotta
it
have that.
has to be what's in the movie. And
Jeez.
and yeah, my favorite action figure growing up was R2D2. There were many times when my mom would run an errand and she would just leave me in the car. This old Volkswagen. Well, it was new at the time, probably.
Well, you could do that back in the day.
Yeah, it was a Volkswagen Red Rabbit. Like I remember hot summer, like the vinyl seats were like hot to the touch.
Did you ever tell that story, a Red Rabbit? Did you tell that to Mike?
Mike and I had the same damn car. We both had an 84 GTI. I had it in high school. He had it in college.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, when he took me for a ride because he has one now. He got it as a like a homage to his youth or whatever. And I legitimately teared up. I remembered how many turns it takes to open the sunroof. It was like muscle memory. Hearing like the door close and smelling that car and the
Volkswagen
golf
smell.
ball shifter, I was just like, oh fuck. Like, let's drive fast and pick up that girl we like. Like it was like,
yeah.
Like
does he still have two of them? Does he still have
two? I had a black one. I think he had a red one. I mean, he might have had a black one with red interior. I had a black one with a blue interior, and I got into so much trouble in that car. It's fantastic. They were way more powerful than they should have been. The GTI,
but the Kenner toy thing, that's really cool. The R2.
Yeah, I had an R2, and I just remember my mom would like run into the fabric store, probably for only 15 minutes, but I just remember always taking R2 and running him across the dashboard like it was the dunes of Tatooine or whatever. He got into a lot of trouble, that droid.
That is so cool. So that was my first action figure, Jason, was R2.
Like you turn the head and it clicked. Like, what more do you want? That's all you need.
Yeah.
I also would get really bored at the grocery store. And I remember there was like those, like the freezer cases where it was just like food, like in a, or maybe it was even like not freezer, but like a chilled case. And I would take my hand and I would hold it like this. And this was the cockpit and these were the mandibles and it was the Falcon, right? And I would take my hand and run it over all the
that's badass.
and dinners or whatever, like it was like Empire. And I remember in my head, I was like, dun, 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 like I would do like the snow speeder music. It'd be like dun 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 dun, like endlessly entertained. And I did that as a kid with the conveyor belt too. Like I would have an action figure or a die-cast toy, and as my mom put the food on the belt, I would like dodge it like it was a video game. Ridiculous.
Isn't that badass? Everybody,
I remember that.
All of our friends watching right now have that cool same story,
Yeah.
And that's what makes this so freaking badass.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it really is a weird shared experience for all of us.
Do you still have a lot of your Kenner? I know somebody asked if you were interested in that stuff. I know you are, but do you still have any of your childhood Kenner toys?
I have a Stormtrooper.
That's
the only thing that survived out of all of my toys. I think some stuff got Goodwilled or I don't know. Yeah, most of it's gone.
So you have your original Stormtrooper though when you were
my original Stormtrooper, and I have the oldest model I have. I think is one I built in like '91, and it's an X-wing. It's horrific, and it's only like fragments of it. It's like just an NPC model. But
oh, that is so cool. That's special to you though, isn't it?
Yeah, because it really even like going back 10 years and looking at models I made 10 years ago, it shows how far I've been able to push my skill set. But like going back to that 91 model or whatever it was, I'm like, I mean, in 91 I was a young adult. I wasn't like a little kid, and even then I was like, oh man, this is dog shit. but it's got that like ephemeral like quality to it that I love. Like I was trying, like it's Red 3. Like even back then I was like, I don't want to make Lukes. I want to make Bigs. Like that. I give myself credit for that. That's kind of fun. It wasn't accurate to Red 3, but I did 3 stripes. So, and it wasn't decals. It was all hand painted, or maybe airbrushed. But.
You're gonna have to send me a picture of that. I'd love to see that.
Yeah,
we had Spencer just jump in. Jason, he just said he wanted to let you know
I love your
that
work.
he loves that your work and just keep it up.
Okay, I
Yeah.
will. Thank you.
And he does. Trust me.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Well, Jason, I know you've been.
Oh, Christ, it's 12:30.
Yeah, it's crazy though, man. I love it.
Yeah, I usually get up at like 5:30. So like I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep until 7 tomorrow, like some sort of decadent Caligula or something.
Okay, so the last co-host, I needed their help exiting out of the show. Are you going to know how to exit us out of the show?
I see leave studio, but I think that just makes me leave. There's end broadcast. I could just
Yeah, that's what it'll be. I think is wait. Hang on though. Before we say our goodbyes to everybody, I just want to look at something real quick.
cool. I got like the Tantalus device. I can destroy everything.
Yeah, no, hang on one second. So hang on.
That's a Star Trek reference. Yeah, I know Trek.
Yeah, hang on.
You like? Wait, are you the one that doesn't like Star Trek?
Me?
You like Galactica.
I like Galactica.
But you don't.
I mean,
like,
I can tolerate it.
You're not into it. Joseph is into it.
Yeah, Joseph is really into it.
Okay. I grew up watching original Trek with my grandfather, and then Next Gen was my jam. So I literally like if it was Simpsons or Next Gen and a girl was on the phone, I would tell my mom like, "Oh, call her back." Like it was, those two shows were very important to me when they were airing. So what are you doing?
Yeah, he says just have him end it. It's at the top right corner of the screen. So
yeah, I see it. All right, we had the power to end this.
Yeah, that's.
If I knew that an hour ago, we'd be done.
Yeah. No way, dude. I mean, it's everybody really enjoys.
When
you're able to hop on, man.
You said, "Hey, do you want to do it?" And I was like, oh, "Fucking 10 p.m. God damn it!" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I will fly to Los Angeles and stay up till like 4 a.m. According to my body. So I think I can do this." You know.
Yeah, and everybody that watches, man, they appreciate you, man. It's always a good time, Jason, when you're able to hop on and bullshit and talk models. You're so freaking real, and that's what everybody loves about you, dude. So.
I don't have the mental acuity to be anything but my goofy ass self. So,
well, hey, I thank you on the first run of bases, anyways.
Yeah. You've got two for anybody still watching. There's two 20-pound boxes in repurposed Chewy's boxes, like the pet food company, because they're nice, strong, thick boxes. You've got two boxes coming to you. They should be there Thursday, and there's 4 laser cut bases in each one, and they're packed, assuming that somebody's having a bad day and is taking it out on your cardboard.
Yeah, no shit. Hopefully, it'll be good.
Yeah, well, I could fit all 8 in one box, but I was looking at it like, I don't know, man. Like, we should probably just make it 2, just to be safe. Extra padding.
Well, they're gonna look. I don't know. You can't really see because of the lighting. But that's sitting on a base right there. Yeah, you can't really even see that your.
Oh yeah, the gold leader.
Yeah, but it will not. It will have lighting, obviously, when it's all said and done.
Yeah, you were making those pillars.
Yes. Yeah, I'm having them all. Dude, I was seeing it get shit all on my nose. I'm just like, screw it. So I'm getting that laminate. I'm getting them from Formica work done on them.
Yeah.
So I'm building all the boxes, and they're just doing the. What is that? What you call Formica? With the
laminate? You're having them laminated. Oh,
yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, because I'm just getting frustrated, getting.
You found like a vendor that would do that. That's cool.
Yes, yeah, somebody who did some counter work for me in the past. These look like pictures. They don't even look like real models. These are models. You can't even tell. They look like they're in the picture, like in the background.
I assume they were models. Are those Ben Yetter builds?
One of them is the Ben Yetter. Yeah, they're both Ben Yetter builds. They actually are both. Yes.
Okay, that's but I'm assuming I made bases for those.
I'm sorry.
I made bases for those. I'm guessing.
Yes, you did. Yep. For all, and the only one is Red 5, which is in that 16-foot trench I've got. So I don't.
Yeah, you can leave him in there. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, to have Could have. Oh, no kidding, Scott. Dude, I would love that. Well, I've been trying to get you. I've been trying to get everybody to move down here. You know what I mean? So, but listen, there's something I was going to tell you, Jason. God, what was it?
Yeah, how hot is your summer though?
Yeah, it does get. You know what? Look, this year was. I know everyone's bitching up north right now about how hot it is, but
Or
we did
California?
have a really hot and a really dry summer. But in the
Yeah.
last 3.5 weeks, our Guadalupe River was dry, and it now has got water flowing through it. And my whole property is bright green, and it's going to be good because for a lot of you guys that might know, we're doing the celebration of my mom's life tomorrow. So all my immediate family's coming out, and it's beautiful out here right now. So
That's
we're gonna,
awesome.
yeah, we're gonna show a really cool video clip that I'm surprising everybody with of a lot of pictures that a lot of my family hasn't even seen of my mom. That other side of her that they didn't know.
That's lovely.
You know, a lot of them knew my mom is kind of the bitchy grandma lady, you know, but they didn't know the other side of her, and we're gonna go into all that fun stuff tomorrow.
Cool.
Go outside and release some balloons, but yeah, brother, man. Hey, you know this. I've told you several times. You're welcome anytime on the show. It's always an honor, Jason.
Cool, man. No, it was fun. Yeah. I don't stay up till 1 a.m. at this point.
I
anything.
know. I know that.
That's
so, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching the show tonight, and you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I look forward to talking to Gabe and hearing how it was at D23 next Saturday, if not sooner. Again, thanks for your Saturday, Jason. You're my brother, and I appreciate you so much. And we will see you
Thank
guys.
you for having me. This is fun. I hope people found some sort of value in all of the crap I was saying.
Yeah, I have to stop you every once in a while just to kind of do the English version of understanding half the shit you say because I don't even understand.
Fantastic.
All right, brother.
All right, cool.
Love you, Jason.
Right, so I'm going to end broadcast. So I think this might be ending.
All right. Sounds
all
good.
Right.
Good night,
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Good night,
bye, everybody. All right. And let's see if that works.